slowdowns coming down towards 700 north.
Today we'll get up to 63 degrees with a few clouds. Tomorrow will be beautiful. Lots of sun and 64 for the high. On Saturday, we'll get some more clouds in here, but warm 70 degrees. And then we've got rain on Sunday. Currently, it's cloudy and 46 degrees downtown.
KSL FM Midvale.
KSL Salt Lake City.
From the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios, this is KSL News Radio.
Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
9 o'clock at KSL News Radio. I'm Amanda Dixon. KSL's top story this hour. Utahns are not happy about the shutdown. Representative Burgess Owens addressed the closure in a town hall meeting. Owens says they are doing what they can to move funds around for those who need it, pointing to the recent move by President Donald Trump to pay members of the military.
That's why I was able to do some things for the military, find funds to push into the military. Why I was able to do things for WIC, for women and for women and children, so they can make sure they're not feeling the pain.
However, he says it won't take long for there to be no more funds to move around. President Trump facing renewed criticism from American farmers as he announced his plan to buy Argentinian beef.
The head of the National Cattlemen's Beef Association says we cannot stand behind the president while he undercuts the future of family farmers and ranchers. And farmers who we've been speaking with are frustrated that the Trump administration hasn't yet delivered an aid package for them while it is moving forward with this extraordinary bailout of Argentina.
ABC's Elizabeth Schulze reporting. A man is in the hospital after he fell off a ledge in American Fork Canyon. Authorities say the 37-year-old man was accidentally bumped off the ledge by one of his friends last night and fell nearly 50 feet. Authorities say he was conscious and talking when search and rescue crews found him and flew him to the hospital. Your money at this moment, the Dow is up 42 points now. We're at 46,632. Coming up, the warm before the next storm. KSL weather is next. KSL News Time, 9:02.
The sources where we get our news matters.
When you listen to Utah's Morning News, we want you to feel the stories are important to you and trustworthy. This is Amanda Dixon.
And I'm Andy Farnsworth. Join us weekday mornings on KSL News Radio.
You've got your whole life ahead of you, so choose a Medicare plan you can count on. And that's what you get with a Medicare Advantage plan from United Healthcare. With more than 45 years' experience serving its members, United Healthcare has plans with low monthly premiums that fit your life today and as your needs change tomorrow. The Medicare annual enrollment period ends December 7th, so go to uhc.com/Medicare today. United Healthcare Medicare plans. It's Medicare coverage Utah can count on.
Did you work in uranium before 1990? Then you need to know that RECA is back. You may now qualify for compensation of $100,000. We provide the best in-home care for former energy workers. CNS Cares can guide you to the resources you need to file a claim. Call CNS Cares to find out if you are eligible. Let's make sure you get all the care and support you deserve. Call 855-CNS-RECA today.
Is your financial advisor offering you up to a 30% upfront bonus? Or are they promising you up to 10% growth per year, all for your retirement income? If not, then you need to come to Trajan Wealth. I'm Jeff Jr., founder of Trajan Wealth. If you have a plan to retire within the next 10 years, don't wait only to find out it's too late. I've seen hardworking folks like you retire only to be required to go back to work, all because their advisor told them guarantees like these were too good to be true. They're not. That's up to $30,000 upfront or up to $10,000 per year on $100,000, all guaranteed for retirement income. Don't keep working when you're supposed to be retired, and don't let any financial advisor tell you it's too good to be true. Call Trajan today, 801-207-9900. That's 801-207-9900.
Annuities, not advisory products. DBA Trajan Wealth Insurance Solutions. Additional disclosures at trajanwealth.com.
For over 75 years, Duke's Jewelers has been part of Utah Valley's story. Founded in 1948 by J. Melvin Duke, the Duke family has been helping yours celebrate life's biggest moments, generation after generation. Duke's is more than just a jewelry store. They're craftsmen. From repairing a treasured family heirloom to designing the custom engagement ring of your dreams, their expertise is trusted because it's been earned through decades of care, skill, and tradition. When you walk through the doors of Duke's Jewelry, you're not just a customer. You're part of the Duke's family. Because at Duke's, jewelry isn't just about sparkle. It's about legacy, memory, and love. Discover the difference of a family-owned jeweler where heritage meets craftsmanship. Duke's Jewelers, 220 South Main in Springville, or online at dukesjewelers.com. Duke's Jewelers, celebrating love, tradition, and community since 1948.
Traffic and weather together, brought to you by Mountain America. Turn everyday spending into an extraordinary escape. And here's Cormac Bone.
Well, the crashes start to clear off the road on northbound I-215's west belt. The delays are still a little heavy around the 201 freeway. And southbound I-215 still seeing some of those brake lights approaching the I-80 interchange near the airport. We still have delays on northbound I-15. This is just after the Spaghetti Bowl, and that reaches into downtown Salt Lake. But we're also seeing our heaviest delays on Foothill Drive. This is just after the I-80 interchange, and it reaches up into just about Sunnyside Avenue. Andy.
Mid-60s for our high today, and tomorrow we'll hit 70 for Saturday before another cold front moves in on Sunday, bringing rain and a high of only 55. Right now it's 46 degrees. I'm Amanda Dixon from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
The all-new Inside Sources. Your inside access to the people and policies shaping Utah's future. Here are Greg Skordas and Holly Richardson on KSL News Radio.
Good morning and welcome to another edition of Inside Sources. I'm Greg Skordas alongside Holly Richardson, and it is day 23, Holly, of the federal shutdown. The Senate is expected to vote today on providing pay for certain federal workers as we're now beginning, like I said, the fourth week. Here's News Nation's Tom Dempsey with an update on what's happening today.
The focus today is going to be a vote happening in the Senate later today to pay federal employees working without a paycheck during the government shutdown. Consider that really the timing of all this, because tomorrow is supposed to be a payday for federal employees, and next week military members are supposed to get paid. But this government shutdown, of course, has caused all sorts of uncertainty. And new this morning, there's polling out from Quinnipiac University showing how Americans might be feeling about this whole stalemate that's happening right now. The polling found that 45% of registered voters described Republicans in Congress as being more responsible for the shutdown, while 39% blamed Democrats. 11% of those who responded said both parties deserved equal blame. But with the shutdown still showing no signs of ending anytime soon, the Senate will vote on a measure later today to provide pay for workers still on the job during the shutdown, including people like air traffic controllers, federal law enforcement, and military members.
So one thing that we do know, Holly, and that is that in prior circumstances where we've had a federal shutdown, the federal employees that work during that time, and some people call them essential, they're now called exempt. Or
right.
So they're the people that are currently working, that are still working, have ended up getting paid, I think, every time.
And they were, well, that was part of the partial shutdown, right? And this is a full shutdown, so they have not been getting paid. And
no. I meant at the end of the day.
Once
the
at
government
the end,
gets,
so retroactively.
Right. I misstated that. So people who have been involved in federal shutdowns in the past, I only know this because it hits close to home.
Right.
A family member, she ended up getting paid after the fact. That doesn't help when you have bills due on November 1st and you're not getting a paycheck.
Right. That's right. And this time too, though, they're laying people off. And in fact, I saw a news article this morning that said about 10% of the BLM workforce in Utah is going to lose their jobs.
Yeah, we look at the importance of some of these jobs, and I'm not saying any are unimportant, but certainly air traffic controllers, that's something you would expect to be quite important. Yeah. And in terms of just my own experience, federal courts, I mean, the courts have to continue. The prosecutors need to continue working. The defense attorneys need to continue working. The jail staff needs to
what would
continue
happen if they didn't work? If the courts stopped working, what would happen? Just a backlog?
Yeah, you'd have a huge backlog, but you'd also have problems with people who say, I have a right to a speedy trial. I mean, that's part of the Constitution. So, but the backlog could be horrific if it got
if it went too long. Yeah,
right. So I think you want to keep things moving to the extent you can, just so you don't have a huge backlog. But I understand what you're saying, and a lot of other entities and agencies. I mean, the IRS. They're just groups that you would expect. You've got to have some level of support going forward.
Right. News Nation spoke with senators on both sides of the aisle about today's plan.
The least we can do is pay them. We're going to pay them anyway. We've got a law that provides back pay for workers or people even furloughed. So why not do the common sense thing?
That was Republican Senator Ron Johnson. Here's Democratic Senator Van Hollen.
Ron Johnson's bill would say President Trump gets to pay the federal employees that the president decides to keep on the job, but not pay those that Donald Trump decides not to keep on the job.
Yeah, I mean, it's just getting more and more personal as this drags on to day, 23.
So Senator Van Hollen also told News Nation that he's working on an alternate plan that would provide immediate paychecks to all federal workers, including those who have been furloughed. We have a texter already ask and say, well, what about unemployment checks, right? I mean, I think, isn't that all part of this? And yesterday, for sure, we talked about SNAP benefits being paused if this extends into November.
The problem with unemployment, and I understand that, is that if, in fact, the pay is made up, you'd have to repay unemployment. And I don't think that the Unemployment Commission is going to get going all that quickly. I say this in all sincerity because there's a notion that the government shutdown is going to end. You know what I mean? And so paying people unemployment for some period of time, knowing assuming they're probably going to get paid and it may not go too long, doesn't make a lot of sense unless you're the person that's not getting paid right now and you need some money.
Well, yeah, but if they've been laid off, are they going to come back? I don't think so, but I don't know.
Right. In terms of ending the shutdown, Democratic Senator John Fetterman said, well, there is an opening maybe to get that done.
With no progress in negotiations on Capitol Hill, Democratic Senator John Fetterman is breaking with his party in hopes of reopening the government. He says Republicans should invoke what's called the nuclear option. It would allow the government spending bill to pass the Senate by simple majority instead of a 60-vote threshold, warning federal food assistance or SNAP benefits are about to run out for 42 million Americans.
So there's another Democratic senator who had a different approach. He spoke on the Senate floor. These guys who do this, 22 hours and 37 minutes. Right. So that was Senator Jeff Merkley. He's a Democrat of Oregon, and he spoke not yesterday, but concluded yesterday. So I guess from Tuesday into Wednesday. He said he was there to ring the alarm bells about authoritarianism under President Trump. He said, we're in the most perilous moment, the biggest threat to our republic since the Civil War. President Trump is shredding our Constitution. Right. He wasn't specifically trying to halt a piece of legislation, but part of this shutdown and part of the people not working and all of those. And of course, the response from the other side is it was 22 hours of rubbish.
Yeah. And usually if you listen to somebody for 22 hours, it would be 90% rubbish. What I want to go back to is the nuclear option. And I guess what Republicans probably don't want to do is make that part of the equation, so that if in the future, but on the other hand, I can understand, as somebody even from the Democratic side saying, let's do something. Go ahead and let's consider the nuclear option, 50 and 1%, because they have that. They've got, I think, 54 or 55 votes. They've historically, at least in the last couple of weeks, had a couple of Democrats, but they have 50 Republicans anyway.
It's, again, to your point, right? It's one of the things is you start to use it on one political side of the aisle, it will become then what is used on the other side of the aisle. It's like, well, this wouldn't be the first time that they've invoked the nuclear option. Remember, they did it to confirm a bunch of Trump appointees in one batch because it was being delayed. And so they just invoked the nuclear option to just need simple majority, and then they were able to get it passed.
What I don't understand is if maybe Fetterman's one of the Democrats that has gone over, because I think there's currently 55 votes.
He's really interesting because he's still a registered Democrat, but he aligns with the Republican Party on a lot of issues. It kind of surprises me sometimes. He's the guy, remember, that he will wear a suit like under duress. Usually he just shows up in sweatpants.
Oh, right. He was like a... I remember.
I don't remember what his other job was, but he's like, okay, fine, if you have to make me wear a suit, and he'll do like a suit jacket and a tie and a pair of sweatpants.
I think he ran
most
against
of the time.
Dr. Oz.
Oh, I think that's right. Yeah. So anyway, he is a Democrat saying, look, we've got to get this moving, and I think everybody agrees it's got to get moving, but the problem is they don't agree on how to make it move.
Yeah. Well, I mean, day 23. We're into the fourth week. Maybe Fetterman's got a point that we should just go the nuclear option and get the government up and running.
Well, and remember, it's just a 7-week continuing resolution,
right.
And now we're almost 4 weeks into that. So they'll just have to do it again. All right. So will the Utah legislature's newly drawn congressional map pass the final test? There are 2 days of court hearings on Utah's redistricting process and the new congressional map, and that begins today. We'll have the latest details straight ahead.
Amanda, sometimes a deal is so good that they decide to extend it because they want more people to have an opportunity. That's what Bedrock Quartz is doing with their employee pricing deal.
They are extending it through the month of October, so you pay what an employee would pay, and you can get your new kitchen or your new bathroom done before the holidays.
The only limit is your imagination. They have over 100 different options for countertops, including quartz, quartzite, granite, marble. They can do bathrooms. What can't they do? They do backsplashes.
And their attention to detail is extraordinary. Andy and I went to their facility in West Jordan where they cut the marble and the quartz, and just to see how meticulous they were with cutting that stone, not to mention the installation process.
Yeah, they do 35 kitchens every day, so they're experienced, they're proficient, and they'll work with you. Whatever you want, they can take care of.
They've got showrooms all over the place in West Jordan, Layton, Murray, Park City, Sandy, Pleasant Grove, Spanish Fork, St. George, and Salt Lake City, but
you can also go to bedrockquartz.com.
Hey, this is Dan, the laptop man from PC Laptops. Let me tell you an amazing story. Last week, a customer came in. They were a creative director for an agency, and they were frustrated that their old, slow computer wasn't processing their files quick enough. He had a big project due and could not afford any delays. Well, we hooked him up with one of our new, powerful 2025 desktops for only $999, and he was able to complete his project with ease. Take one home today. The new 2025 S1 desktop or SM3 laptop for only $999. You heard that right, $999. You get a blazing fast processor, 16 gigs of RAM, and over a terabyte of blazing storage for $999. What else you get? Lifetime service warranty, and we have 12 months special financing on approved credit. Hurry in right now because supplies are limited, because at PC Laptops, we love you. Just check us out at PCLaptops.com. $999, PCLaptops.com.
You're listening to Leaf Filter Radio, and the guru of gutter protection himself, Chris Coonahan, is here to take your most pressing leaf-related questions.
Hey, everybody, Chris here. I understand we have Ron on the line. Ron, where are you calling from?
Uh-oh. Ron, are you calling from a ladder?
Well, I was. I wanted to ask Chris what I need to do to get my gutters ready to have Leaf Filter installed.
Oh, Ron, you don't have to do anything. A Leaf Filter Trusted Pro will come out and clean out your gutters, realign and seal your gutters, and install Leaf Filter, America's #1 gutter protection system.
So I didn't need to get on this ladder?
Ron, Leaf Filter Trusted Pros are in your neighborhood and ready to help. Just visit leaffilter.com/deal to schedule your free gutter inspection and get up to 30% off.
Thank goodness. What was that site?
To get this special radio offer, go to leaffilter.com/deal for your free gutter inspection today and get up to 30% off. That's leaffilter.com/deal for up to 30% off. leaffilter.com/deal. See representative for warranty details.
There's no place like home, but home ownership is slipping away in Utah, and young Utahns are being priced out of their own communities. The U.S. economy is built on the idea that 30% of your income should go towards housing. But in Utah, families are spending nearly 66% just to keep a roof overhead. On top of that, the average homeowner in Utah has nearly $400,000 in net worth. For renters, it's barely $10,000. And with Utah already on track to be short more than 153,000 homes by 2030, that gap is only growing. Every community in Utah plays a part in finding solutions. More homes mean more opportunity for teachers, nurses, police officers, and every family that makes Utah what it is. Learn more about Utah's housing shortage and what we can do to begin to fix it at demandmoresupply.com. That's demandmoresupply.com. And when you sign up, you'll be entered to win tickets to a special pre-screening of Wicked. Visit demandmoresupply.com. Together, we can keep Utah families close.
When it comes to vaping, the truth can get clouded. So let's make it clear. Vaping is not safe for kids, teens, or young adults. It's just not.
Because vaping can put microscopic particles into your lungs.
And dangerous things like metals and volatile organic compounds into your body.
And nicotine, the same highly addictive substance found in regular cigarettes.
Nicotine can harm a person's brain development through their mid-20s.
Affecting learning, memory, attention, and impulse control, and priming the brain for other addictions.
Vaping products also come in kid-friendly flavors that can make them appealing to youth.
And many kids also use other drugs, like marijuana, in vaping devices.
With appealing flavors, high nicotine levels, and lots of promotion on social media,
many kids think vaping is harmless, but it's not.
So talk to your kids about the risks of vaping, because when you talk, they hear you.
For more information, visit underagedrinking.samhsa.gov.
The average text takes your eyes off the road for about 5 seconds. At highway speeds, that's enough time to travel the length of a football field. Stop texts, stopwrecks.org. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
And expanded Inside Sources.
Today begins oral arguments, including 2 days of oral arguments with respect to the redistricting case before the judge who has decided that the legislature needs to submit different maps. They did submit a map. They had a special session and came together on a map. The question for the judge to decide after these next 2 days of testimony, Holly, is whether or not it meets the standards of Proposition 4 and the Better Boundaries Initiative, or whether it's still, partisan gerrymandering.
So Proposition 4, as a reminder, was passed in 2018 by the citizens of Utah. It passed with over 50% of the vote. Not a lot over, but it was over. It was a majority. And it's now becoming part of a broader conversation. So during the special session, there were a number of things that passed besides the map. And one of them was a new bill now signed into law already by the governor saying that the judge can only consider 3 different metrics while looking at these maps. And plaintiffs are now saying, hey, that's not fair. You're just undercutting all of Prop 4 at this point, and wants the judge to throw that out.
You're changing the rules in the middle of the game.
Changing the rules.
Right.
Yeah, in the middle of the game.
So, the Republicans did pass, I think it was Senate Bill 1008, which said, okay, in terms of redistricting, these are the standards that you need to follow. And, of course, their current map probably follows those standards. They're asking, and the bill passed by such a margin that they made it retroactive because it passed by 2/3. So it's effectively they're saying it applies now.
Yeah.
The plaintiffs filed their 3rd or 4th amended lawsuit because it's a moving target, saying,
yeah, for sure,
we want this law now shut down.
Well, and also, if you remember, right after, in fact, I think it was the day after the special session, there were 6 Republicans who signed on to a ballot initiative, an indirect initiative, and a ballot referendum that are also trying to overthrow Proposition 4 and throw out this map that was just passed. So that's ongoing at the same time that Judge Gibson is trying to look at these maps and see if it meets the standard. One of the things that they said with here are the 3 things you can use to judge is there's an algorithm that can be applied in areas, in states where they have more than 9 congressional districts. It's more accurate. But with states with fewer than that, it becomes inaccurate. And the fewer there are, the more inaccurate it becomes. Utah only has 4.
Yeah, so that means that the metrics are not going to be very well.
That's certainly what the plaintiffs are arguing, is those metrics don't work in Utah.
So the lieutenant governor has indicated that she needs these maps, the map, by November 10th. And we're getting, that's what, two and a half weeks away.
That's right.
I mean, we're coming up on November here in a week or so. She needs that map by then so that she can start putting together her ballots and let voters know what district they're in and let candidates know what district they're in when midterms are just over a year away.
But not only are they a year away, but January is when you have to file, and it's the beginning of January. So between November 10th, you've got county clerks who've got to get information out to potential candidates because less than 2 months after that, the filing period will be open.
Yeah, and so what the judge is going to be hearing for the next couple of days, Holly, is this. Each side will present their case for why the map should prevail, which of course the legislature will do, and why the map should not, which is what the plaintiffs will do. They're calling experts. They're calling people in who say, look, here are the metrics. Here's where we are. And if the idea is try not to divide counties any more than you can, try not to divide cities any more than you can, and try not to divide neighborhoods any more than you can, make all the districts the same size, and sort of take partisan politics out of it, but try to keep communities together, but still allow for 4 separate maps.
Right.
And I think those, I'm sort of simplifying it a little bit, but those are some of the metrics that the judge will look at and decide whether or not this current map C or whatever it was, is the one that she's going to adopt and at least that we'll use for the next session.
You know, the next the midterm election for congressional seats. So it's interesting to me, and let me ask you this, having been in the courtroom, When we read that it's going to be 2 days of hearings, is it literally all day for 2 days that this judge is going to hear this case?
I would say this, that she gave them 2 days. She gave each side a day to present their case.
Okay.
I can't imagine that it will take that long. Now, each side, it's coming down to experts and people who are saying,
sure.
I'm a statistician, I'm an expert on, population growth, that type of thing, whatever you want to call it. And based on that, I look at this map and I think that it fits within the boundaries of Prop 4. Or they'll say, I don't think it does. And then the judge will have to decide. The judge isn't going to hear facts or evidence that she's going to. I believe that the hearing is mostly about expert testimony, looking at the map and saying, does this fit the parameters of Prop 4?
And there are multiple maps that she's considering. Is that right?
Well, she's considering first and foremost, the legislature put theirs up. That's the one that she's looking at right now. She doesn't have to discount others.
Right.
But the defendants in the case, which the state of Utah, is saying, here's the map. You asked us to do that. We called a special session. We passed this map. Here it is. And we think it fits everything. And their experts are going to say it fits everything.
Right. But as I understand it, she can look at that and she can make a judicial decision that it either does or does not. And if it does not, then there are other maps that have been submitted that she could consider.
Absolutely, yes. So it's not an all or nothing. She can consider other things. Now, it's a little bit uncomfortable for her because of the whole separation of powers. She's not supposed to create the map. She didn't obviously create it. But she's not supposed to say, here's the map.
Right.
But what she is allowed to do, and I think what she's going to do, is say, okay, each side has submitted their proposal. I've heard the experts. I think this side is the more compelling argument, and that's the one I'm going to order that we use.
Right.
And then, like you said at the outset, there's still an appeal going as to whether or not any of this should apply in the first place.
Right.
So what we're really talking about here is, what's Deidre Henderson going to have in her hand on November 10th?
Right.
And what are the ballots going to look like on 2026? Because after that, I think all bets are off and we'll be back in the appeals, and the Supreme Court will decide where we are.
Well, that was one of the things that we've talked about before when you're talking about ongoing, like a moving target. So we already have a lawsuit that is pending in front of the Supreme Court. I think, if I understand, the Utah Supreme Court. It might go to the U.S. Supreme Court. But then you have these the indirect initiative where they can get 70,000 verified signatures by November 15th, and they're going to pay money, right? And there's out-of-state money coming in to help fund that. If they can get those 70,000 signatures, then because it's an indirect initiative, it actually goes straight to the Utah legislature and doesn't go to the voters. And then they could repeal Proposition 4, which then you don't have independent redistricting, and you don't have any of the things that underlie this whole conversation that we've been having about gerrymandering and redistricting. It's really something.
And they're under the gun to get those signatures. I mean,
they have to do it by November 15th.
Right.
Yeah.
So that we can have that. That puts talk about moving target.
Yeah.
That's another movement. That's
another
movement.
whole thing, right? It's another whole thing. So, yeah, it's interesting. So let me ask you this. So if she has these 2 days of hearings, we know that we have the November 10th date. When could we expect the next ruling from Judge Gibson on these maps? A map?
Knowing her and how prepared she has been and how thorough she's been, I think we'll have a ruling from her next week.
Okay,
if hearings are Thursday and Friday this week, we'll have a decision by Friday of next week, which still gives Lieutenant Governor plenty of time, because a week from tomorrow was what
It's October 31st, a week from tomorrow. It's Halloween.
Yeah. That would be that's my guess as the day that she'll issue a ruling.
So does it take a week? I mean, I don't know these things.
No,
Could she not have a ruling on Monday?
She could, and she may spend the weekend doing that because she'll have all the evidence.
Right.
And frankly, I think she's got 90% of her decision written. It's just who wins. She's got to pick a number, one or two, and decide who does that. So, because she ruled very quickly on the last issue that came up. I mean, when we were dealing with, what we were going to do about this evidentiary hearing and whatnot, she was scheduling dates. She was very prepared. She was right on top of it, and. You're right. She could have it but she doesn't need to have it by Monday. I mean,
it's just interesting, and I think one of the arguments that comes from the Republican-dominated legislature is that she took a really, really long time to issue the initial ruling, like months, right? And they're like, now we're under the gun, and it's too short of a time frame. And Anyway, I'm just curious.
Right, and they've repeatedly said that the initiative passed by a very small number, even though
it was still over 50%, and they some legislators up there barely won. In fact, some of them didn't even hit 50%. They won with a plurality and not a majority, so that's not really a compelling argument to me.
Well, I'll tell you what's interesting is this robbery, theft that occurred at the Louvre, and the precision that it took to get that done, and it's got the internet hooked, the planning, the intrigue, the speed, and it has it all. We'll get the latest on the investigation and live analysis that we're all sort of obsessed with what happened here. A good heist story when we come back.
9:30 at KSL News Radio. I'm Amanda Dixon. If the slopes weren't enough of a view, skiers at Powder Mountain will soon be able to admire artwork on their runs.
Powder Mountain Ski Resort is launching a new outdoor art museum this season. The permanent art exhibition will feature works by 11 artists, which will only increase each season. And if you're not a skier, you can see the art installations during the off-season on hiking trails for free. Visitors can check out the artwork when the season starts on December 13th.
That's KSL News Radio's Isabella Sosa. The latest fundraising campaign by Primary Children's Hospital far surpassed its goal of $500 million. KSL.com reports the campaign put a spotlight on its newest campus in Lehigh, which opened in 2024. The Primary Promise campaign championed the child first and always and raised more than $642 million. Our top national story this hour from ABC News. A strike on the Great White Way has been averted as a last-minute agreement with Broadway musicians comes through.
Local 802 and the Broadway League finally reached a tentative agreement around 4:30 this morning. They were negotiating all night into this morning. Local 802 is union representing many of Broadway's musicians, and they've been working without a contract for more than a month. They were demanding fair wages, stable health coverage, and employment and income security.
That's ABC's Jaysha Patel. Your money at this moment. Let's see what's going on. The Dow is up 71 points right now. We're at 46,667. Coming up, sunglasses, jackets, and umbrellas needed. All of the above. KSL weather is next. KSL News Time, 9:32. Mornings are for recharging.
And they're for starting your day right.
We volunteer to join you in the car. Get news and weather at 102.7 FM during the most important part of your day.
Andy and Amanda, each morning between 5 and 9 on KSL News Radio.
It's the Medicare Advantage annual enrollment period, and Humana knows not everyone has the same needs when picking a Medicare Advantage plan.
Now that I'm retired, I want to enjoy the life I've worked hard to build. So I want a plan that covers me when I'm traveling the country.
Humana has a plan for that.
As a veteran, I want a plan that fills in the gaps my VA coverage doesn't provide, like dental care.
Humana has a plan for that.
I feel good about my health. I just want care and coverage with predictable costs. No surprises.
Humana has a plan for that. With a Humana Medicare Advantage plan, you get coverage and benefits that focus on what matters most to you. Learn more at gethumana.com. Humana, a more human way to healthcare. Humana is a Medicare Advantage HMO and PPO organization with a Medicare contract. Enrollment in any Humana plan depends on contract renewal.
If you're getting new gutters, make absolutely sure that you don't get screwed. I mean literally, don't get screwed. Tim Jr. here from RGS Exteriors. And every single gutter company out there uses screws to hold their gutters together at the corners and downspouts. They use screws because they're fast and cheap and easy, but man, they're terrible for your gutters, aside from possibly cutting your hand. They also loosen and corrode over time because they're not made from the same metal as the gutters. At RGS Exteriors, we've been installing gutters for 70 years now, and we don't use screws. We only use permanent, strong, and unobtrusive rivets. They're made from the same material as the gutters, so they won't oxidize and they won't corrode. They'll also never loosen. Your hand is safe too. Did I mention they look amazing? So don't get screwed. Call RGS and get riveted gutters. Our number is 801-280-3110 or visit us at rgsutah.com. That's 801-280-3110 or rgsutah.com.
I'm back to doing what I love and more. Thanks to the Good Feet store.
Do you want to walk, play pickleball, and enjoy other fun activities to stay healthy, but can't because you're in pain? Hi, this is Mike, and the Good Feet store wants to help you get out of pain.
I just had difficulty walking when I had the pain. I tried them on in the store, and my foot felt so much better.
Are you buying new shoes and inserts with little or no relief?
I tried all kinds of shoes. It was the arch supports that made the difference from the Good Feet store.
Don't let foot, knee, or back pain get in the way of you staying healthy and having fun.
Thanks to the Good Feet store, I'm bowling 3 nights a week, pain-free.
Get back to doing what you love. At the Good Feet store, we'll personally fit you with high-quality arch supports to maximize your comfort. Stop in the Good Feet store or book your free fitting at goodfeet.com. Walk-ins are always welcome. Make this the year you get active and healthy.
Thanks to the Good Feet store.
Traffic and weather together, brought to you by Mountain America. Turn everyday spending into an extraordinary escape. And here's Heather Kelly.
We're finally delay-free all across the Wasatch Front. No problems on I-15, either direction throughout Utah, Salt Lake, and Davis counties. Now, crews are still cleaning up a crash on I-215's West Belt. This is northbound right before you get to the 700 North exit, but all the vehicles are over on the right shoulder. They're out of traffic, and there's not enough traffic anymore to really slow anybody down at this point. Tax problems keeping you up at night? Get the IRS off your back. Let Utah Tax Attorney Jordan Wilcox stop IRS harassment now. Visit endtaxworry.com. That's endtaxworry.com. Heather Kelly in the KSL Traffic Center.
Mostly clear sky. And tomorrow with a high near 65. We'll hit 70 on Saturday, but then clouds move in and we've got rain and colder temperatures on Sunday. Right now it's 48 degrees. I'm Amanda Dixon from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
The all-new Inside Sources. Inside Sources. Your inside access to the people and policies shaping Utah's future. Here are Greg Skordas and Holly Richardson on KSL News Radio.
You know, sometimes you watch a movie like Ocean's 11 and you almost romanticize the sophistication and the planning that can go into some of these robberies. And of course, when you've got George Clooney and Julia Roberts,
right.
Matt Damon and others, it gets even better. But we've got 4 suspects disguised as construction workers used a furniture moving ladder to slip into the Louvre Museum while it was open to the public. It was like 9:30 in the morning.
I know.
And there's still no sign of who they are. The $100 million of crown jewels has been stolen. French authorities say they've been able to track down some DNA evidence and from outside the museum, and that the thieves left behind. And, of course, there's always something left behind. Here's more from ABC's James Longman.
This video seems to have been filmed from inside the museum. We did hear extraordinary testimony just yesterday saying that the only security camera on the outside of the museum over the balcony was facing the wrong way, so nobody inside was given any notice as to what was happening.
So it's easy to laugh at this, but this is pretty serious. It's $100 million. And one of the news stories I've seen over the last couple of days say that people, why they feel like they are confident they can catch the thieves, they are not confident they can recover the jewels.
Ouch, yeah. So we do have Brad Garrett, ABC News crime and terrorism analyst, with us from Washington. Brad, thanks for joining us this morning. And what can you tell us is the latest on this?
So you've mentioned some of it, that the police say they have found DNA, I think, either in a helmet and or a glove. Now, it becomes potentially important, obviously, that they might be able to ID the person, assuming they have a record. Now, typically people who pull off these types of robberies, heists, if you want to call them that, have a track record in this arena. In other words, because of the level of organization and the risk that you would have to take to do this, I think it tends to attract people who already sort of know how to do this and what is expected of them. We'll see. So that may translate into the police being able to ID the DNA that they found on items that were probably left, I think, at the lorry, at the elevator truck. But this is a case where, yes, it's super high risk. It's super dangerous. And the odds of getting caught are reasonably high. But if you have pieces of information like the following, like that the camera up above you is turned the wrong way, that they now cannot see what you're doing. You're doing it at 9:30 in the morning when it is Sunday, but it's just another day in Paris. So to see a lorry, these vehicles that have basically an elevator-type ladder, are all over Paris because that's how people move from one apartment to the other. They take a lot of the heavy equipment and furniture out through the windows. So to see that parked next to the lift wouldn't alert anyone, for starters. Apparently the window they went through initially, they cut through, has an alarm. And obviously when they started cutting in or breaking into the glass coverings of the precious items that they stole is another alarm. But they would have probably known that. And they would have known that security would be there or close by, that in all probability they are armed. And their first job, the security's first job, is to move the patrons that were already in the Louvre out of that particular wing. So while they're doing that, this robbery only takes maybe 2 to 3 minutes. The whole thing's like 7 or so minutes. They're able to exit, go back down the ladder. And, that's where it goes a little south for them. They attempt to want to set the vehicle on fire. They would have burned up probably this DNA and the vehicle. That didn't happen. I think because security was already on them at the time they got back down to the truck. So be that what it may, they hop on 2 Yamaha motor scooters and off they go. So level of planning is high. Maybe had inside information. Maybe it's an inside job. We just don't know yet. But the movement beyond them, I think, it has to be multiple layers. In other words, typically people that pull off these type of robberies, that, let's be clear, was very targeted. They were only going to go through one window, go a few feet, steal things they could easily stick in a knapsack, go back down and leave. That this was designed to do, and it probably already had a middleman at the other end that was going to take the jewels. They would pay, obviously, the bad guys to do whatever they've done. And then the precious jewels would have moved on to somebody who took them apart, which I'm going to guess occurred quickly. And so that's where you are. Now, do I think they'll get caught? Probably. There's too many moving parts to this, and the DNA could potentially sink them.
I have a question for you that you mentioned that the security camera outside was facing the wrong way. Is that something that the thieves would have turned, or just something that was already facing the wrong way?
Well, I'm making a big assumption here. Assuming somebody was monitoring the cameras, you would see a hand go up and obviously turn it the other direction. It's really going to be more important from my vantage point if it was already turned before they got there. That tells me two things. Somebody that works in the Louvre turned it, or they being these guys, had been in the Louvre before, maybe impersonating a construction and or workers of some sort, and they, X number of days ago, turned it. We'll have to see how this plays out. But clearly, I think it was intentionally turned so you couldn't see what was going on.
Brad, if somebody has the crown jewels attached to some, crown or bow or bracelet or something, and it's part of history, it's worth a significant amount of money. But if you tear it apart and you have some diamonds in your hand and maybe some melted down gold, it's worth significantly less. You seem to indicate or feel, based on your experience, and you've got a lot more than I do, that maybe these guys have already torn it apart. But it just seems to me that really kills the value of it. It also makes it a lot more street worthy. You can't sell the crown on eBay, but you know what I mean? It seems like you really destroy the value if you tear it down like that.
So if you look at, you'd have to know the individual worth of what was on the items they had stolen. I think some of that stuff, very high quality, and unique in the way it was designed, so forth and so on. So, no, are you going to make multiple millions of dollars off of breaking it up? The answer is no, but you can make a fair amount of money. Certainly worth, I think whoever planned this op certainly believed it was worth going through all the steps that it took to get them. Now, could I be proven wrong and some super wealthy person orchestrated this and they've got these items, in a secure safe someplace? Maybe. The reason I don't think that's the case is that when you look at what museum security experts who look at museums every day for safety reasons say the following: there's been a noticeable uptick in jewelry, coins, and metals, which they call raw materials theft. In other words, things you can turn around, like we've been talking about, quickly. And that seems to be more the goal. I mean, if you steal the Mona Lisa, that's cool, okay? It's worth a lot of money, but what are you going to do with it? Those typically do go to some eccentric gazillionaire that wants to hang it in his basement or her basement.
Right.
So, but I think that's what you have here.
Yeah.
I mean, my money's on this is not even together anymore. So we'll see.
Yeah. Thank you so much for joining us.
Interesting.
Super interesting. Yeah, we've been speaking with Brad Garrett, ABC News crime and terrorism analyst. And look, he mentioned coins. There was another robbery of a different museum where they stole a lot of gold coins out of the museum. So that was just a couple of days ago. When we come back, we're going to be talking about the latest in the Tyler Robinson case. So stay with us over the break.
When winter's chill settles in across Utah, nothing welcomes you home like the glowing warmth of a fireplace. Croft Fireplace is Utah's trusted experts in gas, electric, and custom luxury fireplaces. Locally owned, locally trusted. Whether you want to convert your old hearth, install a new insert, or create a striking feature wall, the licensed team at Croft handles it from start to finish, bringing years of craftsmanship, quality design, and personalized service to every project. Every fireplace is built to inspire comfort, connection, and calm. A place to gather, relax, and enjoy the warmth of home with family and friends. Visit the Salt Lake or Bountiful showrooms to see your dream fireplace in person. Or let Croft Fireplace come to you. Stay cozy all season. Croft Fireplace, where warmth becomes home. Visit croftfireplace.com to learn more. Croft. Fires. Home.
At KSL News Radio, we have a 30-year legacy of honoring Utah teachers, but we can't do it without your help. Please tell us about an important teacher in your life on the KSL Teacher Tribute Wall, presented by Cypress Credit Union. Each month, one lucky teacher wins a $500 gift card from Cypress Credit Union, a $250 gift card to Harmon's, plus season tickets to Hale Center Theater. Say thanks to your teacher today at kslnewsradio.com/teacher from Cypress Credit Union and KSL News Radio.
Make sure you stick with KSL News Radio all this week as we preview the BYU game this Saturday against Iowa State.
And so tonight and tomorrow night, listen to Cougar Tracks at 6:30. Then on Saturday, special extended pregame coverage airs from 10 to 11:30 a.m., sponsored by the New Millennium Group.
And of course, make sure you're subscribed to BYU Sports Updates. Just text BYU to 57500. And remember, KSL News Radio is your legacy home of the BYU Cougars.
Attention, RV owners or RV wannabe owners. It's the used RV blowout sale. RVs from all over the Intermountain West have been sent to the Layton Hills Mall for this RV liquidation event. Repos, buybacks, rental returns, and trade-ins. Blowout pricing. Every RV has been inspected and serviced and ready to go. Free admission, free parking. Dealers welcome. It's the used RV blowout sale. This Wednesday through Saturday from 10 a.m. to dusk. Go to UtahRVEvent.com. Sponsored by Paris RV. Paris RV is your locally owned, family-run RV dealership. We strive hard to find the very best RVs for the price. With 4 locations, over 1,000 RVs in stock, 42 service bays, and 4 super parts stores. We're sure to help take your family on the best RV vacation. Check out our perfect family bunkhouse trailer, the 26BH. That sleeps 9 for $19,995 or $227 a month. Zero down. Life is short. Enjoy it. North Murray, South Murray, Payson, and Pocatello. ParisRV.com.
You've got your whole life ahead of you, so choose a Medicare plan you can count on. And that's what you get with a Medicare Advantage plan from United Healthcare. With more than 45 years' experience serving its members, United Healthcare has plans with low monthly premiums that fit your life today and as your needs change tomorrow. The Medicare annual enrollment period ends December 7th, so go to uhc.com/Medicare today. United Healthcare Medicare plans. It's Medicare coverage Utah can count on.
Every time I turn around, my friends at Pure Talk give me one more reason to feel good about switching. This month, for instance, they're supporting Canines for Warriors, a terrific organization that trains rescue dogs and then pairs them up with combat veterans struggling with PTSD. The result? They're saving lives on both ends of the leash. This is why I switched to Pure Talk. I like being in business with an American wireless company who shares my values. Yeah, I appreciate unlimited talk, text, and plenty of 5G data for just $25 a month, and I bet you will too. But I think you'll really appreciate doing business with a company who gives back to the men and women who volunteered to defend our country. Just dial pound 250, say micro. With Pure Talk's U.S. customer service team, you can switch in as little as 10 minutes. Again, dial pound 250, say micro, to switch to an American wireless company who actually stands for something. Pure Talk.
How do you gain an advantage in the #1 economy in the nation? Attend the Utah Business Forward Conference, where Utah's best business minds share their knowledge about the innovation, resilience, strategy, and relationships it takes to propel your business and career to the next level. Get access to leaders in various industries, from product development and manufacturing to finance and entrepreneurship. Make plans today to attend Utah Business Forward on November 17th, 2025 at Hyatt Regency Salt Lake City. Sign up now at forward.utahbusiness.com.
An expanded Inside Sources. Inside Sources.
So there was an interesting article, or interesting motion, I should say, filed by Tyler Robinson's attorneys. And it started with this, Holly. They filed a motion about 2 weeks ago asking that their client, this is the person who was accused of shooting Charlie Kirk and killing Charlie Kirk at UVU in September. They filed a motion that he be allowed to appear in court under two circumstances. One, that he be allowed to wear street clothes, because right now he's wearing jail clothes.
Right.
So when he comes out to the courtroom and he sits in the courtroom, they want him to be wearing regular street clothes. And second, they don't want him shackled when he goes, so he can walk out of the holding cell, walk over to counsel table, sit down, and just like everyone else.
Something. Yeah.
And that, of course, is done because of the perception that people have when they see somebody in jail clothes or with handcuffs. They think, well, they must have done something. I would say this: typically, we don't allow that for preliminary matters.
Right.
Typically, we save those two conditions for in the presence of the jury, and we're a long way from a jury trial. We're probably 2 years away from a jury trial. But you want the jury to see the person just as you and I are presented today. You know, street clothes, no shackles, nothing like that, because it sort of hurts the whole presumption of innocence thing if you're dressed like that. So they filed that motion, and the judge preliminarily granted it. But then the state came in and filed a response, and the defense is now saying, hey, wait a minute. Our case is against the state, not the sheriff's office. They've sort of attacked the pleading of the state, saying, hey, our beef is with the state, not the sheriff's office.
So explain that to me, because it's not clear to me what they're arguing, actually.
Yeah, so what happened is this, and the pleading has been sealed, so I'm guessing, because I've tried to look it up and I can't find it. There was a response filed to the defense motion that he appear in street clothes and out without shackles. And in part of that response was something from the sheriff's office saying, hey, this is a public safety issue. Don't make us go through this. We don't think it's safe for us to have to do that. And the defense attorneys are saying,
you don't even have the right to answer.
You don't have a dog in this fight. We want to hear from the county attorney's office. And let me say this. We deal with this issue all the time. And so let's say I have a client in jail and I'm in front of a judge and I say, my client feels like they're not safe. The prosecuting attorney can't order the sheriff to move them to a different cell.
Sure.
Or let's say your client's got, needs a root canal. He's suffering.
Yeah.
The prosecuting attorney can't order that he see a dentist. So the jail does have tremendous authority and leeway in the handling of prisoners in the state of Utah, because that's what they do.
Right.
If you consider good time, if you consider work release, if you consider ankle monitor, all those things, a judge can say, go to jail for 90 days, and the sheriff can say, I'll let you out tomorrow with an ankle monitor. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or medical care, like I talk about, things like that. If you're in an unsafe environment or you need mental health treatment, those are decided by the jail. So it doesn't surprise me that the state did file something from the sheriff's office saying, we think there's a public safety issue.
Right.
I'm a little surprised that the defense is now saying, hey, sheriff, you don't have any say in this, but I think the sheriff has a lot of say in how things are handled, especially when it deals with public safety.
So So if they're saying you shouldn't have responded, we want the judge to throw out this response, can now the county attorney's office respond and say the same thing?
Then they'll have to, and and do the exact same thing. And so the judge, I think, is scheduling some sort of a, in camera, which means in private hearing. He'll have a hearing where the public doesn't appear and is not familiar with what's going on. And maybe someone from the sheriff's office, maybe the sheriff, will come in and say, hey, don't make us do this. I mean, it's going to put sheriff's deputies at risk. It's going to put others at risk. It'll put Tyler Robinson at risk.
Right.
Let's face it. Because in Utah County, unlike most counties, the jail and the court are not even in the same city.
Yeah.
I mean, you go to Davis County, there's a walkway between the jail and the court. And most every other county, Salt Lake and Utah, are different because they have jails. In Salt Lake, it's in South Salt Lake, and in 4th District, it's in Spanish Fork, where the courthouse is in Provo. There is one in Spanish Fork, but he'll be at the one in Provo. So they've got to get him out of the jail. They've got to put him on a bus. They've got to drive him from the jail to the courthouse on a day when everybody knows he's got court.
Right.
Anybody that wants to, and it's not like they're going to be driving in an undercover Prius. I mean, they've got the Utah County Sheriff's Office van.
Right.
With
I've
the big
seen them.
markings.
I've seen them. Yep.
Right.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think that the sheriff has every reason to feel like, whoa, this is going to be very uncomfortable for us. Maybe they move him 2 or 3 hours before court and just hold him in those little holding cells, which are awful, by the way. It's not someplace you want to hang out very long.
It's interesting. So I'm seeing that that the judge said he could show up for the October 30th hearing, which is next week, as you've pointed out, in street clothes. But there's going to be another hearing to talk about whether that can be a thing ongoing. And so I was curious because I saw a news article saying that hearing to talk about his clothing was going to be closed. But I think you helped me understand that it's probably because they have to talk about security measures.
Right. And you don't want the world to know about that. If the security
This is what the courtroom has in place.
This is what we're going to do to make sure he's secure. We're going to drive this specific car. We're going to leave at this specific time. We're going to bring him down this sally port on this end of the courthouse. No. We want to do all that in as much silence as possible. The other issue is his coming out in shackles. I mean, I don't know. So he walks out of in the courtroom. There's a little holding cell to the side of the court. They walk out. They're in the courtroom itself, and they walk out to counsel table, which is in front of the judge. And we have them walk out in shackles all the time. You see them there in their jail clothes and their cuffs. They want him to walk out like anybody else.
Right.
I mean, that poses. I mean, there's a risk of flight, but I don't know that he's going to run because I'm sure there's going to be a wall of bailiffs behind his defense table to make sure he doesn't go anywhere. And I don't know that what I guess another problem could be people from the audience being able to get to him.
Right.
But the same wall applies there. I don't know that he's a threat to himself or anything else if he's not cuffed. And there's no way somebody's going to get into that courtroom with a gun or in some way able to hurt him. I don't know. The cuffs would make a difference with that. But the whole idea of shackles is a bigger problem for the sheriff, I think, than the street clothes. I mean, you got to dress him out, which is a hassle. But having him not in shackles is one thing that makes the law enforcement really nervous. Just to have him walking around like anybody else. I mean, what if he strikes someone, or what if he runs?
Well,
or
and
what
there
if somebody attacks him?
There have been cases, right,
Absolutely.
where people have done that. So there was a shooting in a court in Utah, right? I think a bailiff was shot maybe by somebody who was
and there was a federal
judge.
court hearing where a guy jumped out of the table and tried to stab the witness that was testifying against him. I mean, things like that can happen. Often, when you're in front of the jury, they'll put like a curtain or drape on front of the defense table, in front of all the tables, so it looks the same. A sheet, if you will.
So they're shackled, but you can't see it.
And they're shackled at their ankles, so you can't see it. Their hands are on the table. They're writing down. They're talking to their attorney. They're wearing a nice shirt and tie, but they're not going anywhere because they're shackled, sometimes cuffed to the table itself.
Right. We don't have a whole lot of time, but is there any speculation about Tyler Robinson being at risk from somebody wanting to assassinate him for what he did to Charlie Kirk, allegedly?
But there's every indication of that. And that's another reason why I think the Utah County Sheriff's Office is on high alert.
Yeah.
He's probably in protective custody. He's probably alone. He's probably not with other inmates and in a place where he could be hurt, even by I bet he's under 24-hour surveillance too, just from the guards and other people. But I mean, he's got to be a security nightmare for the sheriff. And the defense have arguably made that worse, or at least more difficult for the sheriff by saying, hey, let him show up in court with street clothes and walk in with his sneakers like everybody else. And the sheriff's like, come on, I can only do so much.
Yeah, interesting. I know I've seen online people who have saying just take him out and apply the death penalty right now.
Yeah, so. Which obviously we don't do in America. And he's going to get a fair trial. He's got good counsel. They've got good attorneys for the state, and it's going to go forward. When we come back, this is another one that's off the charts. A Portland Trailblazers coach and a Miami Heat player were just arrested in an explosive NBA gambling case that involves tens of millions of dollars, including fixing games. We'll talk about that when we come back.
KSL FM Midvale.
KSL Salt Lake City.
From the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios, this is KSL News Radio.
Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
10 o'clock at KSL News Radio. I'm Amanda Dixon. KSL's top story this hour, UTA is experiencing a mechanical problem with the track system. It's causing a 15 to 20-minute delay on the red, blue, and green lines. There is no estimate yet on when the delays will be fixed. A man has been taken to the hospital after he fell off a ledge in American Fork Canyon last night. Authorities say the 37-year-old man was accidentally bumped off the ledge by one of his friends that he was climbing with. He ended up falling between 40 and 50 feet. Authorities say he was conscious and talking when search and rescue crews found him. He was flown to the hospital. We're working to get an update on his condition. Utah State University is well on its way to becoming a top site for training future airline pilots. The university recently updated its aviation program to include a Boeing 737 simulation, giving students hands-on experience.
I think we've taken it to a level that might be unprecedented, but we think it has real meaning and value to their undergraduate degree.
Lead instructor Captain Perry Winder tells KSL-TV the expanded program will give students practice for the aviation industry. Our top national story this hour from ABC News, the government shutdown has entered its 23rd day. ABC's Jim Ryan says a key program providing food to needy Americans is expected to run into trouble.
Shivas Watson of Austin works 50 hours a week, making $11 an hour. Like 42 million other Americans, he relies on the benefit card provided by the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program to feed his family.
I plan every meal to the dollar, and if that card doesn't load in November, there's no backup plan.
Even after the budget crisis is resolved, it'll take time to restart the SNAP program, extending the uncertainty for families like Watson's. Jim Ryan, ABC News.
Your money at this moment. The Dow is up 35 points. We're at 46,626. Coming up, we'll get a look at the weather forecast. Rain on the way this weekend, but we should have mostly sunshine for the next couple of days. KSL News Time is 10:02. A reminder about the simplest way to get updated for your day.
Hit your KSL preset when you jump in the car, and we'll take care of the rest.
Hear key news updates and traffic reports.
Andy and Amanda from 5 to 9 in your car.
KSL News Radio at 102.7 FM.
Do you know how to tell if a clogged drain is something to worry about or not? What's up, everybody? I'm Mike Wilson with Any Hour Services, and I understand it's annoying and inconvenient, but sometimes a clogged drain can be a sign there's a more serious issue with your sewer main line. If the drains in the lowest level of your home aren't draining, or you flush a toilet and it comes up somewhere else like a shower or a floor drain, I'm urging you to look at this as more than just an annoyance. The last thing I want you to experience is a sewer backup. If you're a homeowner experiencing any of these issues, the first step would be to snake the line to see if it's just a blockage, which one of our drain techs can do for only $29. Yep, you heard that right. Any Hour Services will snake any drain line with normal access for only $29. Sinks, showers, tubs, toilets, floor drains, laundry drains, even that sewer main line that connects to the city. We'll snake any line for just $29. For help with your drain issues, call Any Hour Services at 801-443-7700. You can Google Any Hour Services. You can even schedule online at anyhourservices.com. No one helps more homeowners than Any Hour Services.
You're listening to Leaf Filter Radio, and the guru of gutter protection himself, Chris Coonahan, is here to take your most pressing leaf-related questions.
Hey, everybody, Chris here. I understand we have Ron on the line. Ron, where are you calling from?
Uh-oh. Ron, are you calling from a ladder?
Well,
I was. I wanted to ask Chris what I need to do to get my gutters ready to have leaf filter installed.
Oh, Ron, you don't have to do anything. A Leaf Filter Trusted Pro will come out and clean out your gutters, realign and seal your gutters, and install a Leaf Filter, America's #1 gutter protection system.
So I didn't need to get on this ladder?
Ron, Leaf Filter Trusted Pros are in your neighborhood and ready to help. Just visit leaffilter.com/deal to schedule your free gutter inspection and get up to 30% off.
Thank goodness. What was that site?
To get this special radio offer, go to leaffilter.com/deal for your free gutter inspection today and get up to 30% off. That's leaffilter.com/deal for up to 30% off. leaffilter.com/deal. See representative for warranty details.
Friday, join KSL News Radio and NPS from 10 to 1 as the movie show stops by. Then browse and uncover what makes NPS so great. With 4 locations, NPS takes in new inventory every day. Then they check all competitors' retail pricing before marking items down 20 to 70% off. So you're invited to visit the movie show Friday 10 to 1. And that's the first step to discovering NPS. Visit npsstore.com to begin your own NPS adventure. npsstore.com.
The Salt Lake Chamber is Utah's voice for business. Okay, that sounds great, but what does it really mean? Well, as Utah's largest and longest standing business association, they support and champion community prosperity throughout the state. And if you're in business, well, that's a very good thing for you. Be sure to listen to the Chamber's Speaking on Business, weekdays at 7:20, 11:55, and 5:20 p.m. on KSL News Radio.
Traffic and weather together, brought to you by Mountain America. Turn everyday spending into an extraordinary escape. And back to you, Heather.
We're still delay-free all across the Wasatch Front, although we do have a disabled vehicle northbound I-15 right at 3300 South in South Salt Lake. Now, originally it had been causing a little bit of slowdown as an emergency crew tried to move it over to the right shoulder, which it is now. But now that the emergency vehicle is gone, there are no delays. You've got good speeds coming out of Tooele County on SR 36 and I-80, and no problems on the east or west side belt routes working your way around the Salt Lake Valley. Don't miss the Rocky Mountain Gun Show October 25th and 26th at the Legacy Event Center in Farmington. Get 500 rounds of 9mm ammo for just $85. Heather Kelly in the KSL Traffic Center.
Today will be in the mid-60s, mostly sunny. We'll hit 70 on Saturday before another cold front moves in on Sunday, bringing rain and a high of only 55 degrees. Right now it's 52. I'm Amanda Dixon from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
The all-new Inside Sources. Inside Sources. Your inside access to the people and policies shaping Utah's future. Here are Greg Skordas and Holly Richardson on KSL News Radio.
When we started the show this morning, authorities in New York were giving a press conference where they indicated that dozens of people, including current and former NBA players and coaches, have now been arrested in connection with dual sports betting scheme, a poker fraud scheme that drained tens of millions of dollars from victims, and including among the defendants, Holly, Portland Trailblazers coach Chauncey Billups, a very well named NBA player and respected NBA player. He was before he became a coach. Cleveland Cavaliers player and coach Damon Jones, another famous NBA player among the defendants. There were 34 total. During the press conference, FBI Director Kash Patel says that the operations were supported by organized crime families as well.
This is an illegal gambling operation and sports rigging operation that spanned the course of years. The FBI led a coordinated takedown across 11 states to arrest over 30 individuals today responsible for this case, which is very much ongoing. Not only did we crack into the fraud that these perpetrators committed on the grand stage of the NBA, but we also entered and executed a system of justice against La Casa Nostra to include the Bonanno, Gambino, Genovese, and Lucchese crime families.
So the scheme, the indictments that were talked about today, Holly, involved two different schemes, and I'll try to break them down a little bit. One involved NBA players and coaches being involved in betting on NBA games where they could influence the outcome of the betting, influence the outcome of the game. But the second one involved rigged poker games where they would lure rich poker players to play the chance to play poker against some sports celebrities. And here's Joseph Nasella, the interim U.S. attorney for the Eastern District of New York, explaining that scheme.
These defendants
which include former professional athletes, used high-tech cheating technology to steal millions of dollars from victims in underground poker games that were secretly fixed. The games in the New York area were backed by the Bonanno, Gambino, and Genovese crime families of La Cosa Nostra.
So I just have to tell you this. It surprises me to hear organized crime families, Gambino family, like it seems like that's a blast from the past, man, but it's still going.
Oh, I know it, and that's what made it all the more interesting for these these prosecutors. I did mention the NBA players as well. The interim U.S. attorney for the District of New York also talked about that scheme a little bit.
Between December 2022 and March 2024, these defendants perpetrated a scheme to defraud by betting on inside, non-public information about NBA athletes and teams. The non-public information included when specific players would be sitting out future games, or when they would pull themselves out early for purported injuries or illnesses. Once the game was underway, the defendants fleeced the victims out of tens or hundreds of thousands of dollars per game. The defendants used a variety of very sophisticated cheating technologies, some of which were provided by other defendants in exchange for a share of the profits from the scheme.
So let me just explain an example of what he's talking about, because I was reading part of the indictment. In one specific instance, a player who's also one of the named people here was supposed to, you could bet on whether he would score 20 points or not.
Sure.
Because that was his average. You could bet on the over or the under.
Right.
And he told people before the game, I'm going to take myself out. In other words, bet on the under. I'm not going to hit my 20. Or he wasn't even going to play at all, so that he could control that, and people would have that inside information, and they'd say, I'm going to bet that player X doesn't score 20 today. I'll put $10,000 on that.
Wow.
And he takes himself out of the game after he gets 18 or 15 or whatever.
Right.
And all of a sudden you win the bet.
Wow. So I'm seeing an article in USA Today that's mentioning this case. It's Rozier, right?
Right.
That he averaged 35.3 minutes and 21.1 points per game. But in this particular case, he left the game after just 10 minutes due to a, quote, foot injury.
Right. So there's the money that you win. And so that was the player end of it. The thing that was interesting about this, there are two indictments and two schemes, but there are people involved in both, because even the poker game was you can play with the famous NBA player.
Right.
And so the poker games themselves were illegal. They were underground games. But we do those. You see them all the time. I mean, I know a club here in Utah where you go play poker anytime you want. But anyway, don't go there.
You should tell law enforcement that,
seriously.
probably.
So, but they have these underground games, no harm, no foul, but there's a lot of money involved, and there's a lot of people that think they're good at it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, if you have some high rollers and you're playing poker, but you know exactly what's in their hand. They even had X-ray technology that would tell you what cards they had.
I heard that in the press conference that the table was like an X-ray table, so you could put the cards face down on the table and they would still be able to know what they were.
So these high rollers are coming in betting thousands of dollars because they're great poker players and they're getting killed. They're like, how does this guy keep beating me? It's almost like he can read my hand.
Almost.
Right. So I don't know.
Why do people fall for that?
I don't know.
understand.
I mean, the idea of being underground and gambling, and I guess there's some romance to that. But
yeah, from 100 years ago in speakeasies.
Right, exactly. And there are legal ways to gamble now. I mean, you can go.
Yeah, they've legalized sports gambling.
Yeah, in certain areas. So just do it the right way. But I don't know. There's something about the, being underground and being in a secret place and playing with a celebrity and betting thousands of dollars and losing and thinking, oh wow, that was terrible. What happened?
So how does this impact even the image of the NBA or professional sports in general? Because if you've got these people who are famous celebrities, but they're fleecing other people, like how does that impact the image?
It's bad. It's terrible, because if you're watching a game and your team is losing, it will make you wonder in the future, is my team losing on purpose? Is this particular playing, did he miss that shot intentionally?
On purpose.
Did he take himself out of the game because he knows something we don't know? I mean, there was even a ref a couple years ago, an NBA referee who was charged with gambling. And he would make calls purportedly where somebody would be called for a foul when they really didn't commit one because he thought the score was getting a little too close.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, it undermines the integrity of the game because we want our games to be fair. We want our athletes to be, based. Let the best person win. Let the fastest runner win. Let the better quarterback, complete the most passes and let the better team win. But when you put gambling into it, there's an incentive for anyone, no matter who you are, to say, well, I can bet on this because I have inside information. And that's what makes gambling illegal. Well, besides Utah, it's always illegal. But even in states where it's legal, it's not legal to make it, to have the fix in. That makes no sense at all. Otherwise, gambling would be a joke.
Right. So I understand, like Pete Rose, and he was baseball, right? But that he was, like, he couldn't even be in the Hall of Fame because of him betting on the baseball. But then I think he was, like, reinstated because, like, oh, we're going to pardon him or something. Yeah. So I don't know. I think for me, it's like it really just takes all the fun out of watching a game if you think it's all rigged.
Yeah, and it's sad. It's sad. When we come back, Utah public school enrollment has dropped for the third consecutive year. We'll learn more from Utah State Board of Education straight ahead. And remember, we're streaming live at KSLNewsRadio.com and on the app for KSL News Radio, sponsored by At Your Service Pros.
If you're ready to buy a home or sell a home and you're worried about the current real estate market because of what you've heard from some of your friends or family, well, we're here to tell you that you really shouldn't be worried because now is a great time to buy and sell with our friends at the Stern Team, powered by Almada Real Estate.
And here's why. Buyers have more options due to increased inventory, which gives them the power to negotiate for repairs, interest rate buy-downs, and closing cost assistance. While at the same time, sellers are still getting top dollar for their homes, with home values that are higher today than ever before. So whether you're looking to buy or sell, the current real estate market presents a win-win opportunity for both buyers and sellers.
But you still do want to make sure that you're working with a team of real estate experts you can trust that can get you some great results. And that's our friends at the Stern Team, powered by Almada Real Estate.
They have helped thousands of Salt Lake City homeowners, and they're ready to help you. To get started, just go to thesternteam.com. That's thesternteam.com or Google The Stern Team.
So make sure you stick with KSL News Radio all this week as we preview the BYU game this Saturday against Iowa State.
Tonight and tomorrow night, listen to Cougar Tracks at 6:30. Then on Saturday, special extended pregame coverage airs from 10 to 11:30 a.m., sponsored by the New Millennium Group.
And, of course, make sure you're subscribed to BYU Sports Updates. Just text BYU to 57500. And remember, KSL News Radio is your legacy home of the BYU Cougars.
Every time I turn around, my friends at Pure Talk give me one more reason to feel good about switching. This month, for instance, they're supporting Canines for Warriors, a terrific organization that trains rescue dogs and then pairs them up with combat veterans struggling with PTSD. The result? They're saving lives on both ends of the leash. This is why I switched to Pure Talk. I like being in business with an American wireless company who shares my values. Yeah, I appreciate unlimited talk, text, and plenty of 5G data for just $25 a month, and I bet you will too. But I think you'll really appreciate doing business with a company who gives back to the men and women who volunteered to defend our country. Just dial pound 250, say micro. With Pure Talk's U.S. customer service team, you can switch in as little as 10 minutes. Again, dial pound 250, say micro, to switch to an American wireless company who actually stands for something. Pure Talk.
Tim Jr. here from RGS Exteriors. Did you know that we offer 3 distinct styles of gutter protection? Each one meant to handle a specific leaf problem. You might not even know there are different styles of gutter protection, but there are. And if you pick the wrong one, it could be a huge waste of money. Now, the big gutter guard companies won't tell you this. They try to sell you a one-size-fits-all gutter guard. And it could be completely wrong for the amount and types of trees and leaves you have. Not RGS Exteriors. We understand which kind of leaf problem needs which kind of gutter guard. We'll do an in-depth evaluation to assess the types, locations, and numbers of trees in your yard. Based on that data, we match your home to the right gutter guard. So don't risk wasting money on the wrong gutter protection. For a free evaluation and estimate, call RGS Exteriors at 801-280-3110 or visit rgsexteriors.com. That's 801 280-3110 or rgsexteriors.com.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm.
Hi, I'm Chuck McDowell, the timeshare cancellation guy. In 2011, I founded Wesley Financial Group with one goal in mind: to help honest folks out of their timeshares permanently. Today, I run Wesley with my two sons, a real family business, treating every client and every employee like we'd want our own family treated. That philosophy has helped us grow into the largest, most trusted timeshare cancellation company in the United States. Fortune magazine even recognized us as one of the best places to work. Why? Because we genuinely care. In fact, some of our former clients were so moved by their experience working with us, they joined our team so they could help others to timeshare freedom. If you're stuck in a timeshare, give us a call. Let our family help your family.
Call Wesley now for your free timeshare exit kit. 800-549-8866. 800-549-8866. 800-549-8866.
If you're talking, they will hear you.
Why are we getting killed like this?
Kyle's not here. Got caught drinking beer in the park a couple of nights ago.
Really?
Yeah. 0 tolerance. He's out for the season.
Harsh.
Hey, he knew not to drink. We've made that clear to all of our kids, right?
No, not really.
Bill, if we don't tell them what we expect and why they shouldn't drink, how are they going to know?
Talk. They hear you. For more information, visit underagedrinking.samhsa.gov.
Inside Sources.
The Utah State Board of Education has revealed that for the third consecutive year, public school enrollment is down. The numbers that they've said for 25-26, this calendar year for public schools K-12 shows 311 students. That's a decrease of 11,478 students, or 1.7% from last year. And it's the third year in a row that public school enrollment has gone down.
Yeah, that's right. We have with us Aaron Brough. He's the director of We Will in just a second. But one of the things that's interesting to me is, why is this happening, right? So some of the information that the report that was just issued by the Utah State Board of Education indicates that it's more than just, it's clearly not just pandemic related, but we have some demographic shifts that are happening. And we do have on the line with us Aaron Brough, Director of Data and Statistics with the Utah State Board of Education. Thanks for joining us, Aaron.
You bet, and good morning. Thank you for letting me join you today.
You're welcome.
Aaron, what can you tell us about the numbers, and especially as it relates to the last several years?
Okay, so again, what we're seeing now is a downward trend in the population of students here in Utah. Some people have been asking the questions, well, where are they going? I think part of the answer to that question is they're not going anywhere. There are fewer students. We've seen a decline in the birth rate. There is, just that demographic shift that we're seeing in the state of Utah right now, where we don't have large families, or as many as the large families as we used to have. There's just more smaller families coming in. And so as the students graduate outside, as they leave the public education system when they graduate, our lower classes just do not have the same numbers as we have seen traditionally in the last decade of the growth that we've been experiencing.
Let me ask you a question about how that is impacting schools, because we've had a couple of conversations on our show about school districts looking at closing down schools. Is this one of the factors that you're seeing, this demographic change of fewer and fewer kids coming in as kindergartners?
Yes, I mean that's obviously one of the main components that the districts and the charter schools have to wrestle with, is what do we do? Again, when we look at it, say, okay, where's growth happening? So there's places that are growing. We have a number of charter schools. About half of them actually are still growing or increasing. We have new charter schools coming up, online. But at the same time, there are charter schools who are losing numbers. So, as we're looking at these information and moving forward, it's like the population in Utah is changing. So that's part of what we're dealing with. And so as the districts, the charter schools, as they're looking at that, they do have to make decisions of, okay, is this a boundary adjustment that we can do to make sure that we have, a good student-teacher ratio? Do we close a school because it's old and it makes more fiscal sense to move, things around? Again, these are the hard decisions that the local boards and charter schools will have to wrestle.
Aaron, we spoke earlier in the week with a person involved with housing in Utah and indicated that it was a study done that showed over the next, I think, 30 years, there would have to be something like 800,000 new homes built in Utah. That seems to be different, and unless the birth rate is such that even 800,000 new homes creates several thousand less students. I mean, is this a trend that we expect for the future, or is this something that's just happening right now?
So I'm going to say it's a little bit of both. So one is obviously, when we're looking, we work with the Utah population estimation. Actually, the school population is a part of the formula, and we're a part of that committee goes and reviews that, and housing is also part of that. So it is, a dynamic conversation saying as we grow, the expectation is, well, one, there is going to be growth or, continue people moving in. We already know that is a given, or, that's the projected process. But we have to also look at the declining birth rate. We don't see, families coming in with 5, 6, 7 kids. It's 1, 1.5, 2 that are coming in. And so, we're going to be seeing more homes built. There has to be that growth. And so I don't think that we're just going to see a decline. It's not like other nations, like, for example, in Asia and Japan in particular, you see a depopulation in like the rural area. That's not more, I don't think we're experiencing that. I think we've hit a peak and kind of plateaued, and we're seeing this dip. And as we start looking, projecting out for the next 15, 20 years, it's not going to be like a cliff dropping off, but, we're going to have to look at this very carefully is where is the change in the population happening? For example, when you go down to Utah County, more growth is happening on the west side of the lake than on the east side of the lake. That's just the reality they're dealing with. Hopefully that helps answer that question.
Absolutely.
Well, let me ask you this question. We just talked about housing a little bit. Are the demographics shifting? So maybe there's fewer families in Salt Lake because the housing is expensive, and so maybe it's more rural. Are we seeing a shift in where the students are going? Anyway, is the decline across the board statewide, I guess is what I'm asking.
So yes, the decline is across the board, but there are places. So we're seeing like rounding up, it's a 2% across the board decline. But there are some, districts that we're seeing upwards to 4.5%, almost 5% decline because they are not growing. So you can overlay it where is the development happening? Where are people, pretty stable? So, for example, if you talk about the Salt Lake Valley, there's not a lot of people leaving their homes there. They're staying, for right now, they're staying fairly stable. You don't have a lot of new families moving in. Now, again, it's adjusted by, you could have apartment complexes or, different areas where you would expect more people to come in. But again, are they bringing it? Is that a single family resident, or is it an apartment complex where it's like, it's just a married couple and they don't have kids? And these are kind of balances you have to deal with. So again, hopefully I'm answering the question.
Absolutely.
When it's as you move, as areas increase in homes, we expect growth within the schools in those areas. But again, across the state, we are seeing a decline. So again, going back demographically, we've seen constant increase, which was very difficult problem to deal with because you're dealing with budgets, you're dealing with class sizes, where districts had to bring in like portables, trying to figure out where you're putting all the kids. This changes that equation and that conversation of, okay, now that we're seeing the shift, how do we approach this, and strategically, what's the best plan forward?
Let me ask you a question, Aaron, that might put you on the spot a little bit. But anytime you have a school closure, you get families and students that are upset. And with a drop of enrollment of 11,000 students, could there just potentially be a corresponding drop in schools somewhere?
I would say yes. You probably would expect to see that. And again, particularly upon the Wasatch Front, when you look at places that are more established, the cities that are more established, you're definitely going to see that, and those will be discussions. So Granite School District, Jordan School District a little bit, Salt Lake School District, you're going to be seeing this where there is a shift of the population, and they definitely are going, and they are dealing with those discussions. What do we do? So it wouldn't surprise me if a local board came and says and we are seeing that we're going to close some schools, or we're going to redo some boundaries for a school to try to balance these things out.
Thank you so much for joining us today. That was Aaron Bruff, Director of Data and Statistics with the Utah State Board of Education.
And Holly, I want to talk to you about this next subject, because home births in Utah are on the rise, and you, a retired midwife, will help us break down what that means and how that process works in general. Stay with us.
10:30 at KSL News Radio. I'm Amanda Dixon. Our top story this hour, Nicholas Rossi has been transferred to the Central Utah Correctional Facility following his sentencing. He will serve 5 years to life in prison after being convicted of raping his former girlfriend in Utah County. Rossi says he plans to appeal his sentence. Salt Lake County leaders gathered to discuss how communities can come together to stop hate crime as part of United Against Hate Week.
United Against Hate Week is not just a calendar event. It's a commitment. It's our community saying clearly, we will not normalize harassment, threats, or violence.
That's Liz Page, a board member of the Utah Jewish Federation of Utah. KSL TV reports many leaders felt it was important for Salt Lake County to lead by example in political dialogue and cooperation. Others commented on the current political climate and say it's most important right now to listen and extend grace, being kind and accepting. Our top national story this hour from ABC News. President Trump is doubling down on his plans to move U.S. strikes against Venezuelan drug cartels to land. ABC's Karen Travers is at the White House with more on the president's reasoning for the escalation.
There is a distinction here that the administration has made for their legal authority, because they have designated these drug cartels foreign terrorist organizations, and they say that allows them to take this kind of action. Now, there are a lot of legal questions about this, because usually when you designate an organization, a group, an FTO, that's usually targeting them for financial issues, not necessarily taking military action.
The move comes after 2 additional strikes on suspected drug boats in the Pacific overnight. Your money at this moment, the Dow is up 80 points. Right now, we're at 46,671. We'll be up in the 60s today and tomorrow. KSL weather is next. KSL News Time, 10:32.
The sources where we get our news matters.
When you listen to Utah's Morning News, we want you to feel the stories are important to you and trustworthy. This is Amanda Dixon.
And I'm Andy Farnsworth. Join us weekday mornings on KSL News Radio.
You do countless things without a second thought to protect your family and home. Every time you're in the car, you buckle your seatbelt. Before the next load of laundry, you remove the dryer lint. When you head out, you always lock your doors. And one simple task, done far less often, can protect your family and home this winter. Schedule a furnace inspection by a certified heating contractor to check for safety and efficiency. A friendly reminder from Enbridge Gas.
Attention Jazz Nation. The long wait is finally over. Mountain basketball is back and better than ever. Let's go! All tickets are on sale now, and you won't want to miss the action. Jump on the opportunity to watch your favorite players live and in person. Whether you're after season tickets, mini plans, or single game matchups, the Utah Jazz has got your back. There's a plan for every fan. Don't miss out. Secure your seats today and be part of the excitement all season long. Let's go! Visit UtahJazz.com today.
I'm Jenny Oaks Baker, and I invite you to Joy to the World.
It was sacred, exquisitely beautiful.
And Jenny's talent on the violin is unmatched.
Featuring choirs, dancers, and My Children musical group, Family 4. Plus world-renowned mezzo-soprano Angela Brower and celebrated baritone and narrator Preston Yates.
It was just like emotionally stirring. The dancers, the singers, Jenny and her family, just bringing to life the beautiful music.
Experience a Christ-centered Christmas as we proudly support Light the World.
It's so beautiful to see how they use all of their talents to just testify of the Savior.
Get your tickets for Joy to the World, a sacred celebration at jennyoaksbaker.com.
You're listening to Leaf Filter Radio, and the guru of gutter protection himself, Chris Coonahan, is here to take your most pressing leaf-related questions.
Hey, everybody, Chris here. I understand we have Ron on the line. Ron, where are you calling from?
Uh-oh. Ron, are you calling from a ladder?
Well, I was. I wanted to ask Chris what I need to do to get my gutters ready to have leaf filter installed.
Oh, Ron, you don't have to do anything. A Leaf Filter Trusted Pro will come out and clean out your gutters, realign and seal your gutters, and install Leaf Filter, America's #1 gutter protection system.
So I didn't need to get on this ladder?
Ron, Leaf Filter Trusted Pros are in your neighborhood and ready to help. Just visit leaffilter.com/deal to schedule your free gutter inspection and get up to 30% off.
Thank goodness. What was that site?
To get this special radio offer, go to leaffilter.com/deal for your free gutter inspection today and get up to 30% off. That's leaffilter.com/deal for up to 30% off. leaffilter.com/deal. See representative for warranty details.
Traffic and weather together brought to you by Mountain America. Turn everyday spending into an extraordinary escape. And back to you, Heather.
It looks like all of our accidents have been cleared across the Wasatch Front, and there are no delays right now on I-15 throughout Utah, Salt Lake, or Davis counties. Same story on the east and west side belt routes. We had a ton of crashes earlier this morning on the west side belt, but they're all gone, and you don't have any delays. You may run into a bit of construction in a lot of areas, so from time to time you may see a few brake lights, but right now that is not happening. Common Spirit hospitals, clinics, and caregivers all connected to advanced healthcare in Colorado, Kansas, and Utah. Healthcare with Human Kindness is here. Hello, Human Kindness. Heather Kelly in the KSL Traffic Center.
Today will be in the mid-60s. Same for tomorrow. We'll hit 70 on Saturday before another cold front moves in on Sunday, bringing rain and a high of only 56 degrees. Right now it's 52. I'm Amanda Dixon from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
The all-new Inside Sources. Inside Sources. Your inside access to the people and policies shaping Utah's future. Here are Greg Skordas and Holly Richardson on KSL News Radio.
Holly, I'm looking at an interesting study by Axios that show that more Utah families are choosing to give birth at home. In fact, we have been above the national average for some time, but after the pandemic, or about that time, the number of home births started to increase. Utah is now double the national average. And by the way, the national average has been increasing pretty steadily too. I'm glad you're here because you have some interesting insight in this. And first, can you just share your background as it relates to this?
Oh my gosh. So I have a very meandering, nonlinear career path. So my very first degree was as a registered nurse, and I worked in labor and delivery in a hospital setting. And from there, I moved to becoming a childbirth educator and then a doula, who is somebody who provides labor support but isn't the provider. And then I became a midwife, and I did that for 20 years. And I've retired since then, but once a midwife, always a midwife.
So tell me about this. I mean, I have a low level of medical expertise as an EMT on the ski patrol. Right. We have to get a license. We have to go through certain things. What do you have to do in Utah to put the name midwife after your name?
Well, that's a good question. So midwifery is actually how I got started in politics, and that was 25 years ago. And here's why. So there was a midwife in Utah who was arrested and charged with practicing medicine without a license. And we, as a midwifery community at the time, we had understood that we could legally practice. We in fact, could not. There were a few of us who got together and said, look, we started talking with midwives and people in the community, and we think there needs to be legalized a legalized path for midwives in the state of Utah. So parents could choose to legally give birth wherever they wanted, with whomever they wanted, but there were no midwives legally allowed to attend. So it ended up being a 5 legislative session process. We passed a bill in 2005. It's still in effect. It legalizes all midwives in the state of Utah. So we were specifically looking at direct entry midwives, or midwives who don't go through the nursing route first necessarily, and then complete a degree, and then an additional degree, and then they're licensed to practice and allowed to practice within a hospital setting. So what we were looking at were midwives who are practicing out of the hospital. And now that includes home births, but birth center births, freestanding births. But let me tell you the licensing.
Right, because that's what I was going to ask you. Legalized and licensing are two different things.
They are, right? And in Utah, we have the only voluntary licensure law in the nation that applies to midwives. And that means that all midwives are legal in the state of Utah. You can also be a licensed midwife in the state of Utah, and they call them LDEMs, or licensed direct entry midwives. That licensure, those steps come with some educational requirements, some clinical requirements. You have to be CPR certified. You have to do some stuff with the baby heart rate training. And then you have some additional responsibilities that you can have because you've shown that you've taken these steps. So you can also be an unlicensed midwife. And in that case, then it's really up to the families to make sure that they know the experience of the midwife that they're hiring, that they understand what kind of training she has, that they understand what the process is to transfer to a hospital, those types of things. And they're not bound by the rules that the licensed midwives are. And it's it's confusing, and sometimes it can cause some complications to arise that were unanticipated.
So how does a family know whether their midwife is in fact licensed or not?
Well, first of all, they have to ask. But second of all, the state law, actually, this was passed a few years ago, but all midwives are mandated to get informed consent from their clientele. And in that informed consent, they must disclose whether they're licensed or not, what their training is or not. So if they're following that law, then their client should know. But I know that it can be confusing for people out there. It's like, okay, well, there are midwives in the hospital, there are midwives not in the hospital. They must all be the same, but they're not.
So besides the pandemic, what do you attribute the rise in at-home births from?
There's a couple of things. So I think during the pandemic, one of the things that happened, right, if you remember, you couldn't even have, at least in the early days, you could not even have your partner in there with you, right? You were going to prenatal visits by yourself, and they just weren't sure really. And then maybe you could only have one person, but your kids couldn't come visit. There were people who felt a lot more comfortable staying home so that they could have their family around them. And then they knew the one person that was going to come in plus, their assistants, they knew those people and they were going to be the same people all the time. So people turned to that during the pandemic. It's continued to rise. And I think some of it comes from this, there's a growing mistrust, I think, with the medical community. And certainly you can see that nationally in a lot of the news that we cover. And it can be financial, right? So home birth midwives and birth center midwives, significantly cheaper than if you're paying out of pocket for a hospital birth.
Yeah, that makes sense. So so let's say it's not uncommon for a delivery to have complications, medical complications.
I would say it's a lot less common than you think it is. But that's the number one question that people want to know, right? Is it safe to have a baby at home? The answer is yes, it's safe. And there's a number of reasons why. So first of all, you do have a care provider who's there with you a lot of times. And one of the ways that I used to describe being a midwife is, look, I have lots of training for emergencies, right? Can I help a baby breathe that's born not breathing? Yes, I can. Can I stop a hemorrhage? Yes, I can, right? But midwives,
you're trained as an RN.
Well,
significant training.
I do, but I also have training as a midwife, and doing things at home is different than doing things in the hospital.
Sure.
But one thing I think that people worry about is like, well, what if something happens all of a sudden? Yes, that's a possibility. However, we also know that there are things that can happen in a hospital setting that lead to additional interventions. So sometimes we call it the cascade of interventions. You start with one thing and then it just cascades and cascades. And each time you do another intervention, there's an increased level of risk. So there is some of that. I will tell you that the transfer rate for people who are planning home births runs about 9%. And what that typically means is during labor, something comes up where they say, you know what, we need to go to the hospital. Most of the time, that's for pain relief. Most of the time, it's for a long labor that needs some additional oomph behind it. Most of the time, those babies are still born vaginally. There's no C-section. There are C-sections. They don't happen at home, of course. They happen in the hospital. But again, you have somebody there who is there with you full time. They are monitoring the mom. They are monitoring the baby. But they're not having sometimes the additional interventions that they themselves can cause complications.
Yeah, I would say just in my own experience, just from having friends and family and others who have had at-home births, that they have, without exception, thought that was the way to go. And they recommended it. I mean, I'm not familiar with any complications or problems personally, just from the people I know that have done that.
And I've handled complications at home, right? That's part of what you do. But I was going to tell you that one of the things that I describe is that you're a lifeguard, right? You've got these skills if you need them, but most of the time you're there to watch and support and make sure that things are going. Look, you have all kinds of tricks to get a baby to turn, get a baby to descend, get mom moving, right? She's not stuck in a bed because she doesn't have an epidural. We don't do that at home. Anyway, I love it. I'm passionate about it. And you're saying that we do have an increase, but we still have to say, look, that's 3% at home births.
Not a lot.
4% in the birth center. Everything else is in the hospital.
Sure. When we come back, bullying is a constant issue for children and teens, with recent reports showing that 80% of kids will be bullied before they turn 18, and 60% won't even tell anyone. A parenting expert, Heather Johnson, has tips on bully-proofing your kids. That's coming up next, streaming live at KSLNewsRadio.com and on the app for KSL News Radio, sponsored by At Your Service Pros.
It's the Wi-Fi nightmare. Your kids are gaming online, your spouse is streaming, and all you want to do is watch an interesting YouTube clip, but the rest of your family has swiped all the zippity bandwidth. And you get the spinning wheel thingy, and you sound like an 8-year-old kid. It's not fair! But it doesn't have to be that way. Just imagine if your Wi-Fi was a lot smarter. Picture it, your TV, your phone, laptop, even your fancy fridge working together to make life easier. Well, Xfinity makes that dream a reality. You'd think they're telepathic. Really smart Wi-Fi that knows when your device needs a boost. The best equipment to stream 4 games at once with Multiview, and Xfinity Mobile that gives you Wi-Fi where you need it and 5G everywhere else. No more fighting for bandwidth at the end of a long day. Every device gets exactly what it needs. That's the magic of Xfinity. It's seamlessly in tune with you. Xfinity. Imagine that. Restrictions apply.
The Salt Lake City International Airport keeps growing, and October 28th, 10 new gates and 6 new concessions will open. Delta adds a second Sky Club, and American Express unveils a Centurion Lounge. Come experience the new Salt Lake City International Airport.
You're listening to Leaf Filter Radio, and the guru of gutter protection himself, Chris Coonahan, is here to take your most pressing leaf-related questions.
Hey, everybody, Chris here. I understand we have Ron on the line. Ron, where are you calling from?
Uh-oh. Ron, are you calling from a ladder?
Well, I was. I wanted to ask Chris what I need to do to get my gutters ready to have Leaf Filter installed.
Oh, Ron, you don't have to do anything. A Leaf Filter Trusted Pro will come out and clean out your gutters, realign and seal your gutters, and install Leaf Filter, America's #1 gutter protection system.
So I didn't need to get on this ladder?
Ron, Leaf Filter Trusted Pros are in your neighborhood and ready to help. Just visit leaffilter.com/deal to schedule your free gutter inspection and get up to 30% off.
Thank goodness. What was that site?
To get this special radio offer, go to leaffilter.com/deal for your free gutter inspection today and get up to 30% off. That's leaffilter.com/deal for up to 30% off. leaffilter.com/deal. See representative for warranty details.
I have to admit, it drives me nuts when we start talking about Christmas so early in the year, but it is a good time right now for you to make your reservations for the family gathering, for the company party, all kinds of special events during the holidays. Make your reservations right now. It's not too early at Ruth's Chris Steakhouse. What a great way to welcome out-of-town guests, to thank your employees for a great year at your business. Ruth's Chris Steakhouse during the holidays, too, is just magical. The 2 locations, Hotel Park City, right up there in that beautiful mountain environment, and of course where all the hustle and bustle of the city is happening, 275 Southwest Temple in Salt Lake City. Ruth's Chris Steakhouse for the holidays, and you will get that perfectly prepared steak and so much more at Ruth's Chris Steakhouse.
When you take your grandkids to Disney, do they know what's in your investment portfolio? Do they even care? They're busy having a great time, and you're busy making memories. At Galileo Wealth Management, we understand the nuts and bolts of retirement planning, our investments, the stock market, taxes, Social Security, Medicare, and more. But think about it. What are you trying to do here? Is your goal to beat the S&P? Or is your goal to make memories with your family? Our goal is to give you the confidence to spend in retirement without the fear of running out of money. Call Todd Kim at Galileo Wealth Management today, 801-516-3227. That's 801-516-3227, or go online to GalileoWealth.com. Let Todd Kim and Galileo Wealth Management help you make memories, not just money.
Any Hour Services free furnace sale is going on right now. If you haven't scheduled your free estimate yet, what are you waiting for? Call Any Hour Services today or schedule online at anyhourservices.com.
Every 2 minutes, an American is sexually assaulted. Be the someone who gives their time. Be the someone who lends an ear. Be the someone who takes a step. This is Christina Ricci with RAINN, asking you to join the fight against sexual violence and volunteer in your community. Log on to rainn.org. That's RAINN.org to learn how you can be the someone.
This message brought to you by the Rape, Abuse, and Incest National Network and this station.
The new Inside Sources.
So you mentioned just before the break that kids are being bullied. I was surprised to see the numbers 80%. I was not surprised to see that 60% don't tell anybody. And, you know, it's just so distressing as a parent to find out that your child is being bullied. And I was intrigued that yesterday on KSL TV, a parenting contributor, Heather Johnson, somebody that I know, she said that parents often miss the mark with bullying advice for our kids.
Right? We've all faced this. It hurts. We don't want our kids to have to go through this. And yet we're missing the mark often. We often miss the mark with this one in some interesting ways, right? We're quick to tell our kids to rise above it, to just walk away, to ignore it.
That sounds like great advice.
Sounds like great advice. Except what we're actually saying to them is we're not going to teach you how to handle conflict. We're not going to teach you how to handle contention. We're not going to teach you what to do when something is uncomfortable or how to stand up for yourself. So in giving them that advice, we're not actually teaching them the things that they need in order to navigate bullying.
Gotcha.
Right? We are really busy teaching them to be kind, which means we're actually not teaching them to be ready.
So we talked about the fact that 80% of kids report that they have been bullied before they turn 18, or at least have been. You said you were surprised at that number. I'm surprised that it's not much higher.
Really?
I don't
you think
know.
It's like 100%?
Yeah, I think virtually, unless you're the bully. You know what I mean? I think that most kids, I seriously think that the rate of kids who get bullied at some point in their lives between K-12, probably more like 90%.
That's disturbing.
Yeah.
That makes me sad. But I was really intrigued by her saying, look, it's not enough. It's not really the right preparation to say just walk away or rise above it.
Right.
And it's so interesting to me because it fits into our conversation we've had ongoing about treating people with dignity and not using contempt, and how that conversation, like, you're not acquiescing and just saying, okay, well, you know, I'm sorry you have anger issues. It just was interesting to me, right? So what do you think it means to be bully proof?
Well, let's see what Heather Johnson said.
We can easily say, well, can you really bully-proof a kid, right? Can we really do this? And we can. Bully-proofing a child doesn't mean that they won't face bullying. I want you to think of it kind of like something that's waterproof.
Okay.
Something that's waterproof, like a bag or a coat or shoes, it doesn't mean they don't ever get rained on or don't ever get wet. It means that when they get wet or when they get rained on, they can handle the rain, they can handle the water, and the water doesn't do any long-term damage. That's what bully proofing a child is. It allows them to handle it when it hits them and also doesn't impact them long term.
I think having good skills, right? I mean, and it's not just for kids, but to have those skills, conflict resolution type of skills. It's interesting. Are you familiar with the book Crucial Conversations?
Not.
It's a book that tries to help people know how to have difficult conversations where you can do it in a way that's respectful, but you're still being maybe pointed or blunt, right? Or you're not, again, walking away or acquiescing. Passive aggressive is something we do really, really well in Utah, I have to say.
Yeah. I would say, the bullying thing disturbs me, and I don't know why it disturbs me so much, but I think there's just this hopelessness as a parent.
Yeah.
And I've seen this where a friend of mine's son was being bullied, and she had to send him to school the next day.
Yeah.
And you almost think as a parent, I want to be there. I want to sit next to him all day.
Oh, yeah.
But you can't. And you can call the school and say, hey, what's going on? And I love the schools and they do the best they can, but there's just there's only so much they can do.
And it doesn't have to be like physical bullying.
Right.
It doesn't have to be like you're, making them stick their tongue to the frozen flagpole or you're wiping their face in the snow. There's lots of different things that can happen. I think one of the things that Heather talked about yesterday, Heather Johnson, she's the KSL parenting contributor. She said bullies can look for predictable patterns too.
Remember, bullying takes on patterns, such as looking for isolation, always looking for the child who hesitates to respond, right? Bullies are always looking for the one, again, who's alone, who takes a long time to respond, who is uncomfortable, who doesn't make eye contact, who doesn't show up with everyone else. Those are patterns. Now, here's why patterns matter. Patterns are predictable. If something is predictable, then it's preventable. So we can help our kids look for the patterns, and then we can teach them how to prevent them. This is also something, this prevention, where I love bringing grandparents into the equation, because we want to teach our kids, for example, the skills that we're not emphasizing anymore. Walking into a room with your head up and making direct eye contact with someone. Keeping your shoulders back, standing tall, and saying your words with strength and power. Bullies don't like that. They're looking for people who fall into patterns who don't do those things. This is such a great place for grandparents and parents to teach their kids those things, for grandparents to help remind them, hey, let's look each other in the eye when we talk. Hey, speak up and raise your voice when you're answering me.
This isn't casual conversation.
Absolutely. Yeah. All the time where you're teaching them that. Even things like taking them to a restaurant and saying, put your shoulders back, make eye contact with that waitress, and order your food yourself.
Yeah.
Those are very direct things. They help break the patterns. And so when, again, the patterns are predictable, we can prevent them.
One of the things that makes me think of is children who are maybe neurodivergent or have other disabilities. They have a harder time making eye contact. They have a harder time with formulating responses, right? So I think that escalates their risk for bullying. There's also some cultural differences too, because there are some cultures where making direct eye contact, especially with an authority figure, is considered very rude. And so again, you're going to be potentially in situations where those kids are going to be more vulnerable.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, it's something that haunts me about my junior high and high school days is, and it does today, is that I watched bullying. I saw kids being bullied, and I didn't do anything. I mean, if anything, I was part of the group that was sort of laughing at it, or I don't know. I would like to run into some of those kids who were bullied. Of course, they don't show up at any of the reunions because high school and junior, let's face it was a miserable time of their life. But I would. I don't know. There's nothing I can do about it now. But
I think those are skills too, though, that we can teach our kids, right? And we've talked about this too in previous conversations about conflict resolution, right? How do you interrupt the problem?
Right.
And how do you interrupt the bullying, right? And there are skills that we can teach our kids to say, hey, don't do that. That's not funny, right? Those types of things. There are things that we can do. But I mentioned briefly, bullying is something like it doesn't end in junior high or high school. It maybe looks different sometimes when you're an adult. But it can certainly impact our lives and how we handle conflict as well as adults.
Bullying doesn't have to go that far to be bullying, right? I mean, you could have a child who's in 4th grade who has someone who says the same really unkind thing and isolates them every day about something. That's bullying. They're facing this all the time. So we want to open our minds. Plus, we've all been adults and faced similar things. We tend to think, well, this will happen with our kids, and then they'll outgrow this bullying phase. That's not true. We have to deal with uncomfortable people who maybe handle things in ways that we don't agree with, and and push and poke our whole lives.
Bullies grow up.
There's another thing that young people have to deal with that I didn't have to when I was a kid, and that's online bullying.
Oh, yeah.
And that's insidious, and it's a real problem because the bully then doesn't have to be as outward. It doesn't have to be as confrontational. They can do it online. They can do it on the privacy of their own home. And I've seen online
cyberbullying.
That's just awful.
Yeah. I think the big takeaway with Heather's conversation yesterday was that we can instill resiliency in our kids. And I've written about resilience a few times for the Deseret News. And one of the things that I learned as I was researching it and, living life is that it can be a learned skill. Sometimes people are like, oh, you either have it or you don't, right? But it's not true. You can learn and teach your kids how to be resilient. And look, I'll just tell you, we're in the media, so we're out there. We have people who can make comments about what we say or about what we write. We also can have people that are not very kind, but it's fine, right? It doesn't get under your skin or into your head. And for some people, it's like, oh my gosh, I could never handle that kind of criticism. It's like, look, sometimes it comes with the territory, but people do feel like they have a right to criticize your speech patterns or whatever, right? It is. So look to yourself too. Make sure you're not being a bully.
Well, I appreciate what Heather said. And, if parents can just get some of these ideas and some of these concepts and some of these ways to work with their kid, give them that confidence, give them that ability to address this and to take the steps that are necessary to avoid bullying can be so effective.
And I'll just say, assume that it's happening. Don't wait until they come to tell you.
Right, because 60% of them won't.
Yeah, that's right. Okay, look, when we come back after the break, we've got to talk about the East Wing. It's being entirely torn down, and the price tag has gone up. So stay with us on KSL News Radio. You can stream us on the KSL News Radio app, sponsored by At Your Service Pros.
KSL FM Midvale.
KSL Salt Lake City.
From the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios, this is KSL News Radio.
Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
7 o'clock at KSL News Radio. I'm Becky Bruce. KSL's top story this hour, Utah's measles count may be higher than originally thought if you include cases from just across the state line between Hilldale, Utah and Colorado City, Arizona. Combined, that area has at least 123 confirmed cases, making it the second largest outbreak in the U.S. so far this year. The number of people giving birth at home instead of a hospital is on the rise. New data shows Utah had the 6th highest increase of home births in the nation. Former midwife and KSL Inside Sources co-host Holly Richardson says that's a big turnaround.
In 2023, those are the most recent numbers we have. About 1,400 births took place at home. So it's more than 3%. We also have that many more plus an additional percentage taking place in birth centers.
Richardson says women have always been able to give birth at home, but up until about 20 years ago, Utah didn't even have a law in the books allowing midwives to be licensed. Our top national story this hour from ABC News, dozens of people, including current and former NBA players and coaches, have been implicated in a dual sports betting and poker fraud scheme. Authorities say in addition to Portland head coach Chauncey Billups, the schemes had mafia crime family support. Your money at this moment, the Dow is up 134 points this hour. S&P 500 and NASDAQ also back up about 0.5% each. Coming up, another beautiful fall day in store. KSL weather is next. KSL News Time, 11:01.
Mornings are for recharging.
And they're for starting your day right.
We volunteer to join you in the car. Get news and weather at 102.7 FM during the most important part of your day.
Andy and Amanda, each morning between 5 and 9 on KSL News Radio.
Hey guys, it's Woodrow from Mint Medical Clinic. Are you struggling with ED? Well, you are not alone. And now there's a real solution that treats the root cause, not just the symptoms. Introducing our Trifecta approach, a breakthrough combination of acoustic wave therapy, hormone replacement, and cryotherapy, all designed to restore blood flow, boost performance, and rebalance your hormones. Whether it's ED or hormonal imbalance, if you're ready to reignite your love life, this treatment helps bring back your energy, your drive, and your confidence. And right now, when you call, you'll receive a free consultation, a blood flow ultrasound, and an intimacy gift. That's a $650 value, absolutely free. And here's the bonus. The next 20 callers will also receive a 5-night stay at a luxury resort in Hawaii just for taking the first step. But you must call now. With 2 convenient locations in Layton and Sandy, help is closer than you think. Call 801-804-8000 now. That's 801-804-8000. Mint Medical Clinic. We'll get you back to mint condition.
What was that? That is business phone bliss with the Ooma Cloud phone system. It handles all our voice, video, and messaging needs.
You sound very...
Calm? I am. Ooma has everything I need to run my business more efficiently, like virtual receptionist, call routing, and video conferencing. And it starts at just $19.95 per month per user, plus taxes and fees.
Ooma.
Nice. Find your business comm at ooma.com/radio.
This message comes from Viking, committed to exploring the world in comfort. Journey through the heart of Europe on an elegant Viking longship with thoughtful service, destination-focused dining, and cultural enrichment on board and on shore. With small ships that bring travelers closer to the destination, there's more time to explore. And every Viking voyage is all-inclusive, with no children and no casinos. Discover more at Viking.com.
Attention, RV owners or RV wannabe owners. It's the used RV blowout sale. RVs from all over the Intermountain West have been sent to the Layton Hills Mall for this RV liquidation event. Repos, buybacks, rental returns, and trade-ins. Blowout pricing. Every RV has been inspected and serviced and ready to go. Free admission, free parking. Dealers welcome. It's the used RV blowout sale. This Wednesday through Saturday from 10 a.m. to dusk. Go to UtahRVEvent.com. Sponsored by Paris RV. Paris RV is your locally owned, family-run RV dealership. We strive hard to find the very best RVs for the price. With 4 locations, over 1,000 RVs in stock, 42 service bays, and 4 super parts stores. We're sure to help take your family on the best RV vacation. Check out our perfect family bunkhouse trailer, the 26BH. That sleeps 9 for $19,995 or $227 a month. Zero down. Life is short. Enjoy it. North Murray, South Murray, Payson, and Pocatello. ParisRV.com.
Traffic and weather together brought to you by Mountain America. Turn everyday spending into an extraordinary escape. Heather Kelly, how's it looking?
It's looking pretty good if you're sticking with the major freeways right now. No issues on I-15 either direction throughout Weber, Davis, Salt Lake, or Utah counties. A good commute going in and out of Tooele County as well as through Parley's Canyon on I-80. We do have some emergency maintenance taking place, though, on State Street in Murray. This is northbound just after you pass 5900 South. The right lane is blocked as crews are working on, I think it's a water main break. So only 2 left lanes are open. Not enough traffic in that area yet to cause delays. No matter the weather, your feet can feel fantastic. Find the Good Feet location nearest you at goodfeet.com. Heather Kelly in the KSL Traffic Center.
Clouds are going to clear out this afternoon. Our high 63, going to be a pretty good day to take a walk. Tomorrow looks very similar. Winds pick up on Saturday with a chance of rain moving in on Sunday. Right now, you've got mostly cloudy skies, 55 degrees in Salt Lake City. I'm Becky Bruce from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
The all-new Inside Sources. Inside Sources. Your inside access to the people and policies shaping Utah's future. Here are Greg Skordas and Holly Richardson on KSL News Radio.
Our house in the middle of our street.
The price tag for the president's ballroom addition to the White House is going up. After initially saying it would be $250 million, the president now says it's going to be about $300 million. And the demolition has already begun. You saw the East Wing just turned to shreds the other day.
Yeah, and sources tell ABC News that it could be completed as early as today. This is ABC News Chief White House Correspondent Mary Bruce.
A constant stream of dump trucks seen rolling onto the White House grounds to remove debris as backhoes tear down the more than 120-year-old structure. President Trump previously pledged the construction wouldn't touch the existing building.
It won't interfere with the current building. It'll be near it, but not touching it, and pays total respect to the existing building, which I'm the biggest fan of.
But now he says the East Wing had to go.
I mean, he tore apart the building.
It's interesting, and we played that clip of our house because really this is not President Trump's house. This is the people's house. And there's a whole process for dealing with construction and demolition and renovation of official buildings. And I think it's a little suspect that that process has been followed. But there is a little bit more about the East Wing history, and we have more from ABC News Chief White House correspondent Mary Bruce, who spoke with ABC podcast Start Here about the history of the East Wing.
The East Wing, if you want a bit of history, was built in 1902. It was then updated in 1942. Traditionally, it's been the home to the First Lady's offices, the Social Secretary's office. A lot of people may be familiar, actually, with the East Wing because it's where visitors usually enter the White House if you come for one of those tours. That is where the public enters into the residence.
Not anymore.
Yeah, not for a while.
Yeah. Going to be a $300 million ballroom. And I'll just say...
Well, and again, just the price went up before they even started demolition, right? From $250 to $300 million.
That seems like an awful lot for a ballroom. I mean, I don't know what the deal is.
Gold-plated.
I'm also reading that if we don't get the government rolling again, that 2 million people, 7 million Americans could lose health care coverage. I'm only saying that
at the same time
because we're spending $300 million on a ballroom.
So President Trump says it's not taxpayer dollars, that he's got individual donors that are going to pony up the cost. But it's part of the conversation on like the optics of this government shutdown, and now we're destroying the East Wing to rebuild this really fancy ballroom, or not rebuild, but to build a really fancy ballroom while we've got food pantries saying, I don't even know if we can absorb the people who are going to need our services.
Interesting. Edward Lengel, the former chief historian at the White House Historical Association, says this kind of addition goes against the ideas of our founding fathers.
The construction of the ballroom takes us toward a presidential palace and a palatial complex for entertainment. It runs counter to their vision of the executive mansion as being the people's house.
So, again, part of that conversation. But people want to know, and they've said, look, this is not the first time that the White House has been added onto. Totally true, right? The original White House was like 8,000 square feet, and then things were added on. There was a major renovation, I think, under President Truman. He had to even move out because things were starting to fall apart. Gerald Ford put in an outdoor swimming pool on the South Lawn. Harry Truman, 48 to 52, full structural reconstruction of the White House because things were starting to get old and kind of falling apart a little bit.
I guess I can understand. I heard President Trump talking about the ballroom and just having a place to entertain foreign dignitaries, guests. You know, that there's a method to it all. I assume it just, the price tag seems exorbitant to me. But I don't build in Washington D.C. or nor do I know what it costs to build there. It's going to be huge too. I mean I don't remember the diameter or the square footage of it, but it's a huge addition. I guess what I don't understand is why they had to tear down the East Wing, especially when he said
we're not going to touch it.
We're not going to tear anything down. We're just going to. This is going to be an addition. There's certainly a lawn there. There's certainly an area where you could build something instead of just tearing down a.
So he said that in July when he announced the ballroom that they weren't going to touch the existing structure. But just yesterday, and this is a Washington Post article, just yesterday he said in order to do it properly, we had to take down the existing structure, and then said that the new ballroom would be connected by a glass bridge to the main White House structure. So they're not, he says, not touching the main part of the White House, but taking down the entire East Wing. This ballroom is supposed to be 90,000 square feet, which is actually almost double the footprint of the main section of the White House. That's 55,000 square feet.
You have to wonder also how long it's going to take to do this. It's not going to be built in a year.
I actually have an answer for that. Actually, they hope to have it ready by January of 2029.
Yeah, well, he won't be president anymore.
Well,
I mean,
we'll see.
That's about what's about. Yeah, that
It's right after the 2028 presidential election. So of course, there's like, well, is he going to run again? I don't know, right? He's not legally allowed to run again, but it's supposed to be ready before the next presidential inauguration.
Okay, well, it'd be about the time he exits, if that would be January of 2029.
Right, so he wouldn't even be able to use it.
Except as a going away,
I guess,
venue.
Yeah.
Wow,
going
a
away.
lot of money for something that, I don't know, it may be beautiful, it may be something that our nation will be proud of in the future, who knows, but it just seems like And especially when they had initially budgeted $250 million, which is incredible. Now they're saying, well, it's going to be more, 300. Add another $50 million.
I mentioned this earlier about the process of going through approvals. The White House also said this week that it would, quote, soon send ballroom plans to the National Capital Planning Commission, which is required to review any external construction projects at the White House and will decide whether to approve the new building. Doesn't it seem a little out of order to say we've already destroyed the East Wing, but we will ask for permission coming up?
Better to get forgiveness than permission, because
it kind of seems that way. I have to be honest.
We're sort of late to the game on that. But the demolition has occurred, and when I saw it yesterday, I thought, man, this is going quickly. Is this something? Because I had heard the same thing, that there's a process when you're doing something to clearly one of our national monuments.
Right.
I mean, it's a foundation of our democracy, the White House and the other buildings that you think, well, you can't just tear them down, but apparently that's what we're doing.
Well, and this ballroom of 90,000 square feet, the first estimates is that it would seat about 650 people. Now it's up to 1,000 people, so it's growing. I wonder visually if it's going to be disproportionate, right? Because it's so much bigger than anything else. It's going to look lopsided. So I wonder if that's going to inspire a change to the West Wing. I don't know.
What did you say was the square footage?
90,000 square feet for the ballroom, but the main White House is 55,000.
So it triples the size of the White House.
Well, yeah. Right. Well, there's a West Wing component as well, but I think that's significantly smaller than the main body of the White House. So it's going to be lopsided in how you look at it if you look at it from the air.
Seriously. We've talked about this before, but we want to talk about it after the break. Beef prices are climbing fast, and ranchers across the Mountain West warn that the Trump administration's plan to import Argentine beef could backfire, causing more harm than good.
Well, I guess if they're dishing out money to Argentina, why don't you dish some of that money out to American ranchers who want to expand to feed our own populations?
That was from a Wyoming rancher, and we'll hear more from the Wyoming rancher after this break.
Many people worry they're not making the right investment choices inside their 401ks. Did you know that you might have a little-known opportunity to add some additional investment choices to your 401k and get the help and recommendations you've been looking for? This exciting feature is called a self-directed brokerage window. And the best part? The money still stays within your 401k. Learn how the trusted advisors at Capital Wealth may be able to expand your investment portfolio. To learn more, call or text the word VISIT to 801-877-9800 or go to CapitalWealth401k.com. Improving your 401k might mean the difference of retiring a few years earlier. Let's find out. Schedule your no-cost 15-minute consultation with the Capital Wealth team today. Call or text the word VISIT to 801-877-9800 or go to CapitalWealth401k.com. Advisory services offered through Capital Wealth Advisors, LLC, a state of Utah registered investment advisor.
Make sure you stick with KSL News Radio all of this week as we preview the BYU game this Saturday against Iowa State.
Tonight and tomorrow night, listen to Cougar Tracks at 6:30, and then on Saturday, there's special extended pregame coverage starting at 10 o'clock going till 11:30 a.m., sponsored by the New Millennium Group.
And, of course, make sure you subscribe to the BYU Sports Updates. Just text BYU to 57500. That's BYU to 57500. KSL's News Radio, your legacy home of the BYU Cougars.
Let's go! You're still glowing, flirting, grooving. You've still got it. But your immune system weakens as you age, making it harder to fight flu, pneumococcal pneumonia, RSV, and COVID-19. Vaccines are a key part of any health routine and help strengthen your immune response. Ask your doctor or pharmacist which vaccines you need. Schedule in minutes at VaxAssist.com. Sponsored by Pfizer.
I'm Ed Evans, CEO of Consumer Cellular. Ever wonder why Big Wireless wants you on an unlimited plan? They probably want you to cover the cost of those 20-somethings using all that data every month. But most people 50 and up like me only use 12 gigs or less. Don't get bamboozled by Big Wireless. Switch to Consumer Cellular. Our plans start at just $20, and we use the same towers as the big guys. Join the millions who choose something better, because if you're not using all that data, you're probably getting used.
Call 1-888-FREEDOM or visit consumercellular.com/facts. Plans include $5 credit for auto pay and e-billing. See site for additional facts.
If you have Medicaid and are new to Medicare, you may qualify to enroll in a Humana Medicare Advantage dual eligible special needs plan with a lot more benefits like dental, vision, and hearing, along with helpful support when you need it most. Now is the time to see if you qualify to enroll. It only takes a few minutes to find out if you're eligible. Our licensed sales agents are ready to help you understand your options. So this Medicare planning season, we can help you plan well. Learn more at humanaduals.com. Humana, a more human way to healthcare. Humana is a dual-eligible special needs PPO SNP plan with a Medicare contract and a contract with the state Medicaid program. Enrollment in any Humana plan depends on contract renewal.
Do you have 3 ex-wives and your current trophy wife wants a life insurance policy 3 times the size of the policies you had to purchase for your previous mistakes? If so, you need to call Big Lou at Term Provider, 800-859-3220. Big Lou is intimately familiar with your problems, and if you're 50 to 60 years old and in reasonably good health, a $1 million policy should only cost about $100 to $200 per month. Big Lou may have a solution for your previous policies as well. You may even save enough money to lighten the load on your new $1 million policy. Remember, call Big Lou. He's like you, except he's only on number 2. Call Term Provider at 800-859-3220. That's 800-859-3220 for $1 million in term life insurance that you can live with. Call Big Lou at 800-859-3220. 800-859-3220.
Hi, this is Christina Ricci with RAIN. Every 2 minutes, another American is sexually assaulted. If you or someone you know has been sexually assaulted, you are not alone. Help is just a call or click away through the National Sexual Assault Hotline. Please call 1-800-656-HOPE, that's HOPE, or visit RAIN.org, that's RAINN.org.
Brought to you by RAIN and this station.
Do you worry about how much someone drinks?
Do you feel neglected or unloved? If you answered yes to any of these questions, you are not alone.
Al-Anon and Alateen can help. Call 1-866-200-0223 or visit alanon.org/help.
Inside Sources.
If you've noticed, beef prices are climbing fast. The Trump administration has a plan to import Argentine beef, but a lot of ranchers across the Mountain West are saying, well, that could backfire. Ground chuck is up 18% from last year. Sirloin's 24% higher. Families are turning to cheaper options. We talked about this earlier in the week, Holly. Hamburger helper sales are up 14%. President Trump said he wants to sharply increase imports of beef from Argentina to cut down beef prices in the United States.
We're going to do something very quickly and easily on beef to get it down. The ranchers understand that. They're so happy for what I've done. I saved them.
Not everybody agrees with that, especially the rancher community, the cattle community. We've talked about that on this show because their response was immediate. And a lot of them are saying things like, I've supported President Trump, but this issue, this is not okay.
And this was a listener to our show who actually texted us after we talked about this on Inside Sources earlier in the week. Dana Versimic talked to KSL News Radio's Eric Cabrera about her call.
So when I heard the story, I thought, we're feeding the wild horses and you're giving $20 million or $1 billion or whatever the number was to Argentina, and you're not even taking care of the problems at home. You know what I mean? And yet we're having, of course we have we're blessed. I'm not saying that, but we're very blessed to have what we have and to do what we do. But it's an attempt, I feel like, to kill the American rancher when he says he's going to do what he's doing.
And it was $20 billion that Trump has said Argentina can get, and he's trying to raise another $20 billion, and then bring in this Argentinian beef. So Dana did tell Eric actually that many ranchers are just trying to survive.
Ranchers get by. We're survivors. We do what we have to do to make it work. But when you start importing, then any economy, why is he putting tariffs on China? To make American products better, right? Supposedly, and then that's one of his arguments towards doing that. So the same thing could be said here. you're importing beef from China or from Argentina to supposedly lower prices at the grocery store, but you're not American farmers and ranchers have been going out of business at an astronomical rate.
So it's interesting to me that this is not really a partisan issue. There are a lot of Republicans who are like, wait, what are we talking about right here? Even John Curtis, our own senator, said he posted on X one of the articles talking about this potential import of Argentina beef, and he says Utah cattle ranchers are already facing enormous challenges bringing beef to market without competing against foreign subsidies and lower standards. I respect the president's intent, but there are better ways to help allies than undercutting our own producers. And I think that reflects what this rancher from Wyoming was telling us: support American ranchers first.
Yeah, and she warned that this decision is really just a short-term fix, and in the long run, it's not going to drive prices down because it creates new challenges for American ranchers trying to grow their herds.
I'm just saying, like, I know we don't have enough beef. For the supply and demand is really out of whack right now, and that's been proven through Cattlenomics and a lot of economists who study markets, and particularly cow and agricultural markets, can prove that over and over again, that the supply and demand is out of whack. But it's really hard to build a herd when cow prices are up as high as they are right now. But at the same time, if they stay high, then somebody like me doesn't feel bad expanding because they'll pay for themselves. It's all relative. But if you start importing, then like this fall time of year is typically when a lot of ranchers get rid of their livestock, to get ready for the new crop of babies coming along. And so this is a real critical time for him to make some announcement like that to cause the limit drops and the effects that it's having on the markets.
And you nailed it just a minute ago, Holly, when you said her message to the administration is, hey, support American ranchers first.
Well, I guess if they're dishing out money to Argentina, why don't you dish some of that money out to American ranchers who want to expand to feed our own populations, to give some incentives and some for operations such as mine that can expand, and for other people who could get into the ranching. Ranching is a hard business to get into because of the cost of land and the startup costs. A tractor's $200,000 or more now. So I think seeing some incentives would be a huge bonus.
Right, and that's one of the issues that people have brought up from all week this week, because that comment from President Trump happened on Sunday. The response from the National Cattlemen's Beef Association was Monday. Look, I learned a new word from her, by the way, which was cattlenomics. I had never heard that before, so the economics of cattle, I guess. But it's interesting because people are like, oh, well, that's just the lefty liberals. No, I'm telling you, these are people that are Republican. They've been supportive of President Trump. The National Cattlemen's Beef Association is pushing back on President Trump, saying it's misguided. This effort to manipulate markets only risks damaging the livelihoods of American cattlemen and women while doing little to impact the price consumers are paying. So they're saying it's just not going to work. And they go further to say the National Cattlemen's Beef Association and its members cannot stand behind the president while he undercuts the future of family farmers and ranchers by importing Argentinian beef in an attempt to influence prices.
Yeah, I'm not sure the administration appreciated the blowback
backlash
they were going to get from ranchers when they did this, because what they're thinking is short-term beef prices are high, we'll bring some in from another country, and we'll, quid pro quo, we'll do some good to that country, we'll help our country get our beef prices down. But American ranchers are saying, well, if you're going to give Argentina $20 billion, why don't you help farmers out here, ranchers out here? You can do a lot with beef prices with something like that, and help us out, get more cattle and get more grazing land, whatever you need in the United States, instead of sending it overseas. I can understand ranchers being upset, and we're just hearing the beginning of it, I think.
Yeah, look, so I mentioned this is not a partisan thing. Senate Majority Leader John Thune, so he's, again, a President Trump supporter. He is back there in D.C., part of this whole shutdown conversation. He says President Trump's making a mistake by calling for a significant increase in beef imports. And he said it does not make sense to flood the market with foreign beef. That's not the way to do it. It's created a lot of uncertainty in the market. And so he says he hopes the White House has gotten the message, because remember, on Sunday, President Trump didn't say, I'm going to do this. He said, I'm thinking about doing this.
Oh, well, that could make a difference. He may be thinking differently now. I mean, and of course, he sometimes thinks back and changes his mind on tariffs and other things in response to what he's hearing. And maybe the ranchers' voices will be loud enough that the president will get the message that, hey, let's not do this quite yet. On the other hand, I can understand people thinking, if we can get beef prices down, maybe we should import more.
Republicans are saying, and Democrats as well, but they're saying, look, flooding the market with beef from Argentina is not actually going to solve the problem here. And to John Curtis's comment, Senator Curtis's comment, he said the standards can be lower. And I mentioned that the other day, is Argentinian beef they have found the screw worm in it, which is fatal to humans, right? And it was something where it's like, okay, how certain can we be that the quality of this beef coming in is going to meet our standards in the United States?
And is the Department of Agriculture going to mark beef being imported and say this is Argentinian beef as opposed to beef raised here on American soil? Will consumers be able to tell the difference or know the difference, or are they allowed to know the difference?
I don't know the answers to those questions. So again, it's an ongoing conversation, and in fact, we're going to continue the conversation. It's interesting to me that people want to make this a partisan issue. Right now, there's bipartisan backlash on this idea, saying it's manipulating markets, and that's not actually what we do here.
Yeah. When we come back, House Speaker Mike Schultz, who's also a rancher, will join us. I didn't know he was a rancher. You knew everything about these
no.
legislators. But anyway, he's going to join us to share his thoughts on the rising concern around beef prices and what's next, and what he considers is the best move to lower prices. Remember, you can stay with us on the KSL News Radio, and you can stream us on the KSL News Radio app, sponsored by At Your Service Pros.
11:29 at KSL News Radio. I'm Claire Scott. KSL's top story this hour. The Utah-Arizona border is home to the second largest measles outbreak in the U.S. so far this year. KSL News Radio's Alexandria Bonilla reports.
Short Creek, the tight-knit community with historical ties to polygamy, is made up of Hilldale, Utah, and Colorado City, Arizona. There have been 123 confirmed cases of measles this year between the twin communities. This area also has some of the lowest kindergarten vaccination rates in the country. An analysis from NBC says 21.6% of 5-year-olds in Mojave County, Arizona are unvaccinated, and 20.8% of them in Washington County, Utah are unvaccinated.
43 of the 57 confirmed cases in Utah have been in southwest Utah. Our top national story this hour, photos of the White House this morning show the entire East Wing is now rubble. The wing has been demolished as part of the president's plan to build what he says is now a $300 million ballroom, nearly twice the size of the White House itself. Your money at this moment, the Dow is up 110 points, the S&P is up 33 points. And coming up, it'll be a great day to take a walk. KSL Weather's next. KSL News Time, 11:30.
A reminder about the simplest way to get updated for your day.
Hit your KSL preset when you jump in the car, and we'll take care of the rest.
Hear key news updates and traffic reports.
Andy and Amanda from 5 to 9 in your car.
KSL News Radio at 102.7 FM.
Hi, this is Doug Ryden. For years, I've been telling you about products I truly believe in and that we use in our home. And one is Kinetico. We all know the downsides of hard water, tough on home appliances, frustrating spots on shower doors, but it also affects your personality. When you shower, does the water feel invigorating? Hard water can leave your skin feeling sticky and itchy. A Kinetico soft water system changes everything. It's like having a luxurious spa experience when you shower, making your daily routine something you look forward to. Kinetico, it's a difference you can feel. Their patented system uses far less salt than competitors, and they're exclusively focused on water softeners. They're the experts in their field, and they'll show you the difference for free with no obligation to buy. Call Connecticut Quality Water Systems of Salt Lake, an authorized independent dealer, at 801-576-8600, or check them out online at softwaterutah.com. Start enjoying your water. Spoil yourself every day.
This is the story of the one. As a custodial supervisor at a high school, he knows that during cold and flu season, germs spread fast. It's why he partners with Grainger to stay fully stocked on the products and supplies he needs, from tissues to disinfectants to floor scrubbers. All so that he can help students, staff, and teachers stay healthy and focused. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
You're still glowing, flirting, grooving. You've still got it. But your immune system weakens as you age, making it harder to fight flu, pneumococcal pneumonia, RSV, and COVID-19. Vaccines are a key part of any health routine and help strengthen your immune response. Ask your doctor or pharmacist which vaccines you need. Schedule in minutes at vaxassist.com. Sponsored by Pfizer.
Did you work in uranium before 1990? Then you need to know that RECA is back. You may now qualify for compensation of $100,000. We provide the best in-home care for former energy workers. CNS Cares can guide you to the resources you need to file a claim. Call CNS Cares to find out if you are eligible. Let's make sure you get all the care and support you deserve. Call 855-CNS-RECA today.
You trust us for news and information in your car. Now trust us at home. KSL News Radio has you covered, keeping you informed on the latest breaking news, weather, traffic, sports, and more. Listen on your Amazon Echo or Google Home device. Just say, Alexa, open KSL News Radio, or listen on the KSL News Radio Listen app. Text the word app to 57500. KSL News Radio. We have you covered.
Traffic and weather together, brought to you by Mountain America. Turn everyday spending into an extraordinary escape. Here's Ricky Meese.
A crash on northbound I-15 in South Salt Lake near 33rd South has been moved out of traffic over to the left shoulder, but not before causing delays into Murray. And if you're past that, you're going to see good speeds until you hit northbound I-15 going from Centerville towards Farmington. It's really close to Parish Lane. You're going to see delays there. Overall, that's the only spot of traffic delays that we're seeing on I-15 at this time. Common Spirit Hospitals, clinics, and caregivers, all connected to advanced health care in Colorado, Kansas, and Utah. Healthcare with Human Kindness is here. Hello, Human Kindness. Ricky Meese in the KSL Traffic Center.
The sun returns this afternoon with a high of 63. We'll see the wind pick up on Saturday just before a storm moves in on Sunday. Right now, 56 and partly cloudy. I'm Claire Scott from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
The all-new Inside Sources. Inside Sources. Your inside access to the people and policies shaping Utah's future. Here are Greg Skordas and Holly Richardson on KSL News Radio.
Beef prices are climbing fast, and ranchers across the Mountain West warn that the Trump administration's plan to import Argentine beef could backfire, causing more harm than good.
Well, I guess if they're dishing out money to Argentina, why don't you dish some of that money out to American ranchers who want to expand to feed our own populations?
That was Wyoming rancher Dana Varsamak, who spoke with our Alex Cabrera earlier today about the plan the administration has to import Argentine beef because of the way to try to bring down beef prices.
So we have on the line with us Mr. Speaker, Utah House Speaker Mike Schultz. Mr. Speaker, you have personal experience as a rancher, and of course you've had support for Utah ranchers. Tell us what your take is on this situation.
Well, Holly and Greg, thank you so much for having me. I appreciate the opportunity to be with your listeners today and explain this very complicated market to you all. But first off, I just want to start off and say President Trump is 100% right on this. And while I certainly feel and I understand the concerns inside the ranching community, and as you said, I'm one of those. And certainly this will hurt my bottom line on our ranching operation for a short period of time. But this is good for the consumer, the American citizen, and it's good for the rancher long term. And so let me get into a little bit why. And it's very complicated. And I could go on on about this all day long, but I want to just hit a couple high level things. If we got time, we can go more into the details. But cattle numbers in the U.S. are the lowest they have been since the 1950s. Think about that for just a minute. Our U.S. population in 1955 was 165 million. Today, it's 342 million. It is more than doubled, and our cattle numbers are at the same levels as they were in the 1950s. And there's a whole host of reasons as to why that is. The main reason is the left and environmentalists have been working to eliminate grazing and have been pushing regulations onto farmers and ranchers, and there's literally been a war on the agriculture community. So I understand what the agriculture community has been through and their concerns with this. However, this does stabilize beef prices long term, which is good for ranchers and it's good for Americans. I want you to think about this. If to grow the American beef herd, it will take a minimum of 2 to 3 years just to start that, because you have to raise those female calves from just being born. And then when you do try to grow the herd, you're taking calves and cattle that would normally go to slaughter and you're turning them into mother cows. So it's taking it puts more pressure on the American beef market. And so using a small country like Argentina to come in and fill that need for a short period of time, it's brilliant and it's perfect, and it's what Trump does best, and he puts the American people first. And that's what he's doing here with this policy. And so I think we have to look at what's best for the big picture and long term and best for Americans, and that's what's happening.
So this is a short-term fix, as I understand what you're saying here, Speaker Schultz. The long-term might include opening up more federal lands to grazing and allowing ranchers more access to some of the property that they're not allowed to get into now?
Yeah, so Trump has already been laser-focused on the long-term solutions, and that is cutting the regulations, opening up more grazing, and pushing environmental groups off to the side and said, no, you're hurting everyday Americans, and just going and doing what's right. One of the biggest things on Trump's agenda, and I've actually had the opportunity to speak with Secretary Rollins about this, is getting more localized food processing. Did you know that 80% of the beef that's processed in the United States is controlled by 4 companies? Think about that for just a minute. The consolidation that has happened over the last decade on our food processing has hurt Americans, and it's driven up prices. President Trump recognizes this, and he's working to get local processing into states like Utah and other states, so that there's some competition there to keep prices down. And that's part of the long-term solution as well. But we have to do something in the short term, or otherwise beef prices are going to continue to go up. And so I think this is a perfect plan that President Trump's rolled out.
So, Mr. Speaker, what do you say to the rancher that is really expressing some concern about how they may have to decrease their operation in they feel like there's so much uncertainty, right? That was part of their concern, is they don't know whether they should try to expand their herd or not, or if they're just going to be undercut. What is the response to the ranchers who are really feeling like this could really hurt their bottom line?
Well, for one, we've never seen cattle prices this high as the ranching community, and they're not sustainable this high. And so, yes, we need to grow our herd. I would say to them, continue to grow your herd. Argentina is such a small beef market when you compare it to overall. They're not going to come in and destroy the American beef market. It will never happen. They're not large enough. And so, but are they large enough to come in and make a dent and drop prices 10% or something like that? Absolutely. And do the American consumers need it? They do, because the thing that's bad for the beef industry is for these record high prices and Americans to say the prices are too high, we're walking away from beef. And so, and that's where we're headed, because these prices are continuing to go up with no end in sight. President Trump recognizes that and says we've got to come in and put a stop to the rising prices and actually drive them down a little bit. That's what he's doing.
Speaker, how can we how can the regulatory environment help? You mentioned that we need to relax regulation, and a lot of us may not understand what regulations apply to the ranchers.
Yeah, that's a really good question. So it's not just to the ranchers. It is to the agriculture community as a whole. The regulation that's being placed on our farmers and ranchers on environmental impacts and everything like that is driving costs through the roof. And the average farmer and rancher cannot survive. And so and same thing with processors. That's why you've seen this huge consolidation in food processing, is because the regulations coming from the federal government and from the environmentalists are making it almost impossible to survive. And it's driven so many people out of business, and whether they're small farmers and ranchers or small food processors. And so all the way from grazing to processing to the equipment that's being produced, the tractors and the new stuff that the regulations on the new equipment. A tractor today is more than double what it was 7 or 8 years ago for a tractor. I mean, to buy a tractor, a decent-sized tractor, you're $750,000 for some of these tractors. Wow. It's becoming impossible for these guys to compete. So President Trump recognizes, and he's working on that as well.
That's really interesting. It's interesting to me that you have a stance that seems so different from a lot of Republican elected officials, but you also are one who has boots on the ground. So interesting. Let me ask you one quick question about SNAP benefits. So we know with the government shutdown, we don't know for sure when it's going to end, but we do know that if we hit November, SNAP benefits that impact 85,000 households in Utah will be gone. Is there anything that the Utah legislature can do to help alleviate what this may do to Utah families?
No, there's nothing, and it's really sad. We need, I think, what do we need? 5 Democrats to come on board, and we can open the government back up again. And again, I think they're getting ready to vote for the 13th or 14th time on a continued resolution to just keep spending at its current levels. For Democrats to come in and say, hey, we have to continue we got to increase spending in order to get votes, it's wrong. I've really appreciated Senator Fetterman. He's the most popular person in America right now. I believe if you listen to him and what he's saying, we would be on the right track. If we just need 5 more of his colleagues to jump on board, we can open this up. But this program is $31 million a month. Wow. The state of Utah cannot afford that program, and so we need the federal government to do its thing and open back up. All day, we need 5 more Democrat senators to come over and vote yes, and we're open back up. That's it.
All right. Thank you so much. We've been speaking with Utah House Speaker Mike Schultz. When we come back, this news story, I don't know if it impacts you or not, but Lagoon is going to say goodbye to the one and only Jetstar 2. If you've ever braved it, you know it's not for the weak. Will you miss Jetstar 2, or are you ready to let it go? Text us at 57500 and share your wild ride stories. We'll be right back.
You're listening to Leaf Filter Radio, and the guru of gutter protection himself, Chris Coonahan, is here to take your most pressing leaf-related questions.
Hey, everybody, Chris here. I understand we have Ron on the line. Ron, where are you calling from?
Uh-oh. Ron, are you calling from a ladder?
Well, I was. I wanted to ask Chris what I need to do to get my gutters ready to have Leaf Filter installed.
Oh, Ron, you don't have to do anything. A Leaf Filter Trusted Pro will come out and clean out your gutters, realign and seal your gutters, and install Leaf Filter, America's #1 gutter protection system.
So I didn't need to get on this ladder?
Ron, Leaf Filter Trusted Pros are in your neighborhood and ready to help. Just visit leaffilter.com/deal to schedule your free gutter inspection and get up to 30% off.
Thank goodness. What was that site?
To get this special radio offer, go to leaffilter.com/deal for your free gutter inspection today and get up to 30% off. That's leaffilter.com/deal for up to 30% off. leaffilter.com/deal. See representative for warranty details.
Amanda, I want to tell people how they can look and feel 10 years younger, because it's something you and I already know.
We lost weight with the SOTA weight loss program. I lost 34 pounds, 3 years ago now?
Yeah.
And I do feel younger. I have more energy, all because I worked through this wonderful program, SOTA Weight Loss.
And I let go of 70 pounds of fat weight over 5 months, and I actually did get comments, you look incredibly younger. It really felt good.
And I love the example I set concept for my kids to show them, look, we can celebrate things without having to eat stuff that's bad for our bodies.
And what helps is the accountability. And right now, this is the best way to do it. Soda's bringing back their most popular offer of the season. Join now, and your partner joins for free in the Partner Program.
So you and your spouse, or you and your best friend, get going with Soda Weight Loss.
They're the #1 weight loss company in America for client satisfaction and client results. You can find out by going to their website, sodaweightloss.com. That's SOTA weightloss.com. Because Soda is, say it with me, Amanda, state of the art.
Every time I turn around, my friends at Pure Talk give me one more reason to feel good about switching. This month, for instance, they're supporting Canines for Warriors, a terrific organization that trains rescue dogs and then pairs them up with combat veterans struggling with PTSD. The result? They're saving lives on both ends of the leash. This is why I switched to Pure Talk. I like being in business with an American wireless company who shares my values. Yeah, I appreciate unlimited talk, text, and plenty of 5G data for just $25 a month, and I bet you will too. But I think you'll really appreciate doing business with a company who gives back to the men and women who volunteered to defend our country. Just dial pound 250, say micro. With Pure Talk's U.S. customer service team, you can switch in as little as 10 minutes. Again, dial pound 250, say micro, to switch to an American wireless company who actually stands for something. Pure Talk.
This is Derek Miller speaking on business. RealRx was founded in 2020 as a joint venture between University of Utah Health Plans and Cooperative Benefits Group. They provide efficient, high-quality pharmacy solutions focused on delivering value to members. President Jeffrey Dunn joins us with more.
We all know that high drug costs can be a burden for Utah businesses and families. What you may not realize is that traditional pharmacy benefit managers, or PBMs, often profit when prices stay high. They make money through rebates, spread pricing, and fees that are all tied to the cost of the drug and the number of prescriptions. At RealRx, we knew there had to be a better way. Founded in Salt Lake City by local pharmacists and healthcare leaders, each with more than 20 years of experience, the RealRx solution is transparent, 100% pass-through drug pricing. As an employer, you pay the exact amount paid to the pharmacy, less any applicable member cost, with no markup and no games, ever. Our model cuts prescription costs by 20 to 30% while giving members a better experience. RealRx is proud to be part of this community, and we're committed to making prescription drugs more affordable.
By enhancing access to affordable, high-quality pharmacy care, RealRx continues to strengthen Utah communities. Their member-focused approach lowers cost, supports local health initiatives, and promotes better outcomes. Learn more at realrxsites.com. I'm Derek Miller with the Salt Lake Chamber, speaking on business.
Getting help with plumbing repairs is easier than you think. All you have to do is call Any Hour Services or schedule an appointment at anyhourservices.com. No one helps more homeowners than Any Hour Services.
Sure, humans can be a little weird at times, but take it from me, I'm a dog. And a person is about the best thing that can happen to a shelter pet. So if you want to learn how you can be that person, get down to your local pet shelter or visit theshelterpetproject.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council.
And expanded Inside Sources.
Thanks for the memories. Lagoon has announced on its social media channels that Jetstar 2 will close at the end of the season. If you've ridden that, and I have not.
I have.
Oh, you have?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my word. It looks like it's one of those things that make you have a headache and a stomach.
Yeah.
Tummy problems for the rest of the day.
Yeah, so a lot of people, and I'm one of them, joke that you can get whiplash from riding it. You can text us at 57500 if you'll miss the Jetstar ride at Lagoon, or if you think it's one that we can let go of. And look, we already have one texter, and they say that it's leaving Lagoon. They're sad about it because of the nostalgia and the memories I have riding it with my sister back in the 80s. But it was a pretty rough ride. It's been closed a lot lately, and none of my kids really liked it when there's so many other fun options. It's probably time to move on.
Okay, so describe it to me. I can't even think of which one that is.
So it just like whips around corners. This thing is 50 years old, or almost 50. It was relocated from Spokane, Washington, where it opened as part of Expo 74. So I guess that's 50 years. And it just like, it feels like you're going to fall off right as you go around the corners, and it just whips you around. And so some of the people that have commented on Lagoon's post, like they remember that, right? They're just like, thanks for the memories and the body aches.
Yeah.
Or what ride am I supposed to get whiplash from now?
Right. And you wonder what's going to replace it. It seems like one thing I like about Lagoon, among other things, is they almost always have something new. They have a new ride or a new update on a ride or something like that. They're advertising different things that they're doing. So if they're tearing that one down, taking it out, you wonder if they're going to put Jetstar 3 or something like that in its place.
Well, right. They do say that they have a replacement and that it's going to be something nice. And is it going to be Jetstar 3? We don't know. Somebody said, a texter or at least a commenter on Lagoon's post said the world's not ready for Jetstar 3.
Right.
Another one, another one said,
Jetstar destroying back since 1976. That's great.
Yeah, and that somebody was a supervisor there.
Yeah. Another one says, I cannot believe this. Jetstar was my baby when I was a supervisor. I chose to work in its area every year, because it was the first coaster I ever operated and so incredibly special to me. I'll always love you, Jet. Speaking to Jetstar directly, from your daily brake checks to being the most fun ride to operate. Gone too soon.
Okay, just so you know, the park will be open 2 bonus weekends, October 31st, November 9th. So if you want to ride it one last time, you can get over there to the park and send your well wishes to the classic ride.
There's a park near the city, all the kids dig a lagoon now.
Gotta love Lagoon.
Gotta love Lagoon.
And that's the Beach Boys.
Yeah. So I love my favorite topic. It's Christmas. And really, it's I do love Christmas. And also, it's a huge...
Oops. Beach Boys are not done yet.
A huge source of stress for me. But have you ever watched a Hallmark movie? Like, they're pretty formulaic, I will say, but Hallmark Christmas movies. Have you ever watched one?
Probably. I can't think of one.
It's like, the
schmaltzy.
professional. Yeah, that's right.
Sorry.
The professional woman goes back to her small town and falls in love with the hometown boy who made good because he's all obviously super rich, and it all happens around Christmas. Well, there are 16 new Hallmark Countdown to Christmas movies for 2025. You can go on Deseret.com and look up the list of all those movies, but there's some
16?
of them.
16?
Yeah. Yep, that's right. And they have a second holiday touchdown movie, a third movie in the Three Wise Men, and a baby series.
You're just choking up
I
today.
am.
You're upset about this Jetstar thing far more than I realized, Holly. You
So
must have
upset.
had some memories of that from your...
No, I don't go to Lagoon very often, actually. But look, it's really so. I love to watch Hallmark movies. They are look. I'll have to say they're really cheesy and very formulaic, but they're really. I think they're a lot of fun. And I watch them with Jazzy, who's 11, and she's like, "It's a rom-com. Let's watch a rom-com."
Well,
right? So we do
16.
that.
That's kind of a fun countdown to Christmas.
Right.
You know, if you play them in the days and weeks before Christmas, and you have
We have 2 months, 2 months and 2 days to Christmas Day. By the way,
But we have 16 movies to watch between now and then, so
Well,
that'll be fun. I'll bet
that's
you watch
just
them all.
Hallmark. So I do watch Hallmark movies, but I have some favorites too. And one of the new favorites that I have, gosh, what's it called? It's the Ryan Reynolds movie where it's like a twist on the Grinch. It's so funny. We watch that now all the time.
Yeah, even though my kids are gone, you still watch those Christmas movies. I mean, you can't help but watch it. I mean, the Christmas Carol. And I
There's
actually
different
saw
versions. What's your favorite version of A Christmas Carol?
Alistair Sim, I think was his
Yeah,
name.
you know what mine is?
What?
A Muppet Christmas Carol.
No,
Yeah,
no.
it's my
This
favorite.
one is true to the line.
the
You know,
story.
I actually saw a Christmas Carol at the Hale Center last Christmas, and it was amazing.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, what they had done down there.
Oh, yeah.
If they're doing it again
Yeah.
this year, I'm showing up.
They do it every year, and I've seen it at the Hale that's in Utah County. And one of my friends was Bob Cratchit's wife. I don't remember if she has a first name, but she was so good, especially when she was portraying when Tiny Tim died, that I was bawling just watching
Was that
her
good?
because she was so good. Look, we've talked about this before too, but the Washington Post says America's may run out of Christmas decor this year, and that prices will be up. But we've talked
Because
about
we
that
import
because
it
of the
from
impacts
China or
of tariffs.
something?
Yep.
Yeah.
Artificial trees, wreaths, garlands, a tariff-induced frenzy that has caused companies to pause or cancel imports during peak manufacturing season. So, look, I'm just going to reuse the stuff I've had from before. I don't need to go out and get a new artificial Christmas tree. I've got one in my basement. It's fine. We'll use that. And I don't replace them every year anyway.
Well, and I'm already bah humbug as it comes to Christmas. So we put up our tree 2 weeks before and take it down a week later.
Well,
we don't have any kids.
My daughter has created a side business where she actually decorates for companies, and she will do my house for free, but it takes her a couple of days because she does so much with lights and garlands, and it's really, really beautiful. So we will do it right after Thanksgiving, and we will leave it up until the first of the year.
There you go. And I have to admit, my wife's Christmas trees are gorgeous.
Yeah.
She just puts a lot of time into them.
It's so fun. So I do have one or two fun facts. So today is National Croc Day. What do you think about when I say that to you?
Well, not the shoes. I think about the
It
crock
is
pot.
the shoes.
Oh, it is the shoes. Okay.
It's not a crocodile. It's not a crock pot. It is literally the shoes, those kind of plasticky shoes with holes in them. It's National Croc Day today.
And you know what I think of when I think of Crocs?
No.
It's what they wear in some jails. That's
Yeah.
that's their
Oh, yeah.
footwear.
Yeah.
I've never had
No
a pair.
no shoelaces,
There
right?
you go, right.
Yeah. Yeah. Interesting. So it's just funny. So on this day in 1910, there was a woman, Blanche Stewart Scott. She became the first American woman pilot to make a public flight, right? So that was in the early days of air travel.
1910.
1910.
Wow.
Yeah.
115 years ago.
Yeah. So this one stuck out to me because we've talked about domestic violence before multiple times on this show. But in 1974, that was when the first American women's shelter opened for women trying to escape domestic violence. So 74, basically 50 years ago.
And this has
in
been
St. Paul, Minnesota.
Domestic Violence Month, hasn't it?
Yeah.
October. Yeah, we've had a lot of good guests join us about that and talk about things that are going on nationally and locally with respect to domestic violence and how we address it in America.
Yeah. So are you familiar with the show Meet the Press?
Of course.
Of course. How does that go? How does the show run?
I don't
It's
know.
unrehearsed, right?
Oh, right.
So
Yes,
it's like
right.
live interviews, unrehearsed. Well, the person who created the show was a woman, and she was the first moderator from 1945 to 1954. But on this day, which is October 23rd in 1911, is the day she was born. Her name is Martha Roundtree. So she was the creator and the first moderator of Meet the Press.
Wow, it's a historical women remembrance day today.
Well, okay, well, then I have some more for you.
Okay, good. That's great.
So in 1850 was the first National Women's Rights Convention held in Massachusetts. It drew 1,000 people. It had annual conferences for another decade, the first National Women's Rights Convention. But also on this day in 1915, so this would have been 5 years before the ratification of the 19th Amendment, there were 25,000 supporters that did a women's suffrage march on New York's Fifth Avenue.
Good for them.
Yeah.
I mean, that's good news and a good time to end the show. We'll turn over the time now to midday with Maria Shilaos, who has the latest on arguments that are being heard this morning for the new congressional map proposed by Utah lawmakers. That's in the 3rd District Court. Those arguments might still be going. Stay with us.
KSL FM Midvale.
KSL Salt Lake City.